This week on NWP, well, it's in the upper 80s, and trick-or-treating's been canceled. Yeah, time for Halloween episode, folks! And welcome to Nerds Without Pants, episode 187. We cover everything while bearing it all. I am Julian. I'm joined as always by Justin.
Hello. Hi. I'm Justin Ham. And welcome to Nerds Without Pants podcast. This is the podcast where we break down the economy for werewolves. Joining us today, master werewolf economist, Rob Atone. Nice to have you on the program, Rob. It's great to talk to you again. I know you have a lot of thoughts on today's werewolf economy, and we're just dying to hear all of them. So
now is a hot time. Buy everything werewolf. Buy high, sell low. That's the craziness of the market right now.
That's great advice for any werewolves out there. I'm sure they'll take your advice to heart. Now to extend this conversation for 3 hours.
Pretty sure we can probably manage that.
I could do it.
Yeah.
Why? I'm crying already.
We haven't even gotten to the deep stuff yet. I
was trying really, really hard not to crack up when Julian was doing his intro. Shit.
Oh, yes, and as listeners will hear, we have co-founder of the show and former co-host and friend of the show, Rob. It's good to have you back. Also, you were the official rock of the show, because now you are just the part-timer who comes on when you have to promote something and then you go away. but then eventually you're going to get so big for your britches that you don't even have to come back to promote shit, and it'll only be like once in a blue moon, like we get like a quote from you, like from remote. It's like, oh, Rob was back for just like a second.
Oh my god, no, I will always want to do this show. After the last time, I was texting you and being like, hey, I have an idea for an April Fool's show.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Well, actually, I know why I forgot about that, because like the world ended, and
yeah, exactly.
That'll do it.
Yeah, no, I have to like kind of I was looking forward to getting you on and just busting your balls just a little bit, because I've been listening to you on all of these other like horror podcasts promoting your book, and I'm like, wow, like, they're talking to him like he's like this, like, really well-respected author, and he should be, like, his writing is great, but it's like, but this is my friend from Live Journal from 2005, like, what the fuck?
It's true. God, they don't know about me talking about Liara Tassoni in the shed in the backyard. They don't know about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
The old NWP episodes.
Yeah.
Now they can do a deep dive. That'll get me canceled, I bet.
Yeah, well, actually, I was thinking about that, actually, because there's probably some stuff in earlier episodes that I wouldn't be too proud of. But we grow, right?
Yeah, that's the point, though. Like, I listened to this other excuse me, I'm sorry, fuckers are making me laugh. One of the horror podcasts that I listen to, they do a thing where they go back and they do like a narration of their old episodes. Sort of like a commentary track where they reintroduce them and they do a commentary track throughout. And they've been doing ones where they were like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. And these are bad opinions and bad, stuff like that. And stuff that could get them like canceled nowadays. They just get right in front of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good.
Yeah.
And you are, we'll definitely talk about it later on, but you were here, to talk about your book. Well, not just talk about your book, but we'll mention in depth your book, Her Infernal Name and Other Nightmares, which, actually, well, no, I'll get to it later, cause I've got some stuff to say about it. But,
Okay.
we're just gonna have a lot of fun tonight, and, I think there's nothing left to do right now than to take off our pants, relax, and jump on into the stage select.
Before we go any further, are we
Yes.
also going to Wang Chung tonight?
Not tonight.
I would like to know. Oh,
No.
fuck. Man, I was really prepared to Wang Chung.
We are going to have fun tonight, though. We'll
Okay,
do that.
all right, that's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. I mean, that's half the battle.
Yes.
But, it's the name of my.
The other half is
my
knowing.
band. Yeah. Well, that's. If I ever had a prog rock band or like a cool metal band, I would name them Half the Battle. It's a great name. It's a great name for a band.
Yeah, I like
That
that.
is a good name.
Good. It's good.
Mine has always been Space Monkey Mafia.
Yeah. See, that's good, but like in like a YouTube, I cover a lot of video game songs. Good. And that's not an insult. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get it from We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel, because there's that lyric where it's Space Monkey and it's supposed to be comma Mafia, but he sings it as Space Monkey Mafia, and I was like, man, the marketing just like writes itself. Like
Yeah,
I can see the
okay.
logo and the T-shirt and everything. Like it's just
Right.
yeah.
This adds up.
Little
I like
monkey in a spacesuit with the helmet and the Tommy gun.
Exactly. Yeah. See.
Okay,
Rob gets it.
You've sold me on the idea now. Now that I know where it comes from, it works. Okay.
Yeah.
You've sold
Okay.
me on the idea.
I'm glad. I was actually mortally wounded when you said like.
I'm sorry. I wasn't completely sold on it. I was like, I don't know. We might have to reconsider this. But you turned it around. You turned it around. Okay.
Excellent. Well, Rob, I'm going to turn things over to you if you remember how to host a podcast, because we are actually doing your stage select, and I thought you'd like to introduce it and have us jump into it.
Sure. So yes, the stage select this week, which I'm very privileged to be introducing, this is really cool, is the what are the best haunted houses in video games? And this can be interpreted in a variety of ways. Justin, I think, put it really well. Oh, no, Julian, it was you on the Twitter. I couldn't remember if it was JH or JT on Twitter. That it's a pretty open-ended question, because there's, so many different ways to interpret a haunted house. Like, if you look at movies, right? Alien, that's a haunted house movie in space.
Yeah.
So by definition, like we were saying before the show, Alien Isolation is a haunted house story. Doesn't really matter that there's an alien. It's still a haunted house story. It's the same kind of thing, right? So pretty open-ended. But yeah, we have some spooky, scary haunted houses for you. And I have a pick on here that I think will be ridiculed a little bit and goes along with the conversation from last episode.
Great.
Excellent.
Mine are terrible picks. They're all terrible. Just get ready.
I've actually had my number one pick since Julian and I talked about this like a long time ago.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk about it.
That's good. That's good. My number one pick today came to me while I was outside having a cigarette just this morning. And I was like, oh, that's a really good one.
Isn't that how most of your picks come to you?
A lot of them, yes, but this one was more last minute than most.
It's not an easy one to answer, really, because I think who is it? Mike, friend of the show, Mike Fallick, mentioned on the Twitter that he would go with the lab from Portal.
Yes, and I think we've actually he actually like sent us like an actual submission, so we'll get to that a little bit later. But yeah, this was actually really hard for me, because as I started to think about it, I was like, I can't really think of like a lot of like ghosty stuff in video games, and maybe it's just because I don't play a lot of games that have ghosts, so I had to get pretty creative with this one. But I'm pretty pleased with what I got.
I'm happy that you're pleased.
I was thinking about it too. There's one on here that's like, when I say it, one of you might have it also, and I'm sure maybe somebody in the audience wrote in with this as well. So I'll feel silly. I'll feel bad that I stole somebody from the audience's pick. But there's been so many riffs on it since it came out that it almost isn't scary anymore. But when I watch it, it's still scary to me. So I'm curious what your takes will be.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, how do you want to do this?
Who wants to start?
Well, I have. You guys have 3. I have. No, you have 4. You have 3 with an extra. I have 4. So do you want me to go first? I'll go with my last pick. I'll mention the one that I just said.
Sure.
Go for it.
All right. So I was thinking, like, what's the scariest traditional haunted house that I've ever seen in a video game? And this is sort of cheesy, but at the same time, I think it's kind of a no-brainer pick. The Hallway from PT.
No, I don't. I think that's an excellent one that I would have completely forgotten about, honestly.
Oh, nice. All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Even though I never got to play PT, and it's one of the few Let's Plays that I actually watch over and over again. Like I watch it probably a couple times a month. Just because I'm just so resentful that I never got to play it. But I made some notes here. It delivers a variety of scares executed by masterful design. It even plays with concepts that can be found in literature, something like Mark Danielewski's House of Leaves, which is my favorite horror novel of all time. It plays with the disruption of time and space, and the blurring of lines between the living and dead are masterful in what amounts to what could just be like a 20-minute experience if you really know what you're doing. So that was my reasoning for choosing PT. I think it's and even watching like the Out of Bounds Secrets videos of PT, it's still scary to me. Like, it hasn't lost anything.
It does so much with so little, which I think is like really impressive, right? Like being able to tell such a scary story and have such a terrifying experience in just what really amounts to like one room, because it's really just like an L-shaped hallway, right? So it's not even like you're going from one room to another.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the reason I mentioned that it might have lost its scares or whatever, just because Layers of Fear is pretty much PT. Like, I feel, I don't think that that's a negative thing to say, because Layers of Fear is wonderful, but Layers of Fear 1 and 2 are basically just PT. And there's so many other games that are just first-person scare fests that are just PT.
I was gonna say a lot of games, horror games nowadays are really kind of leaning into that the PT vibes and stuff like that. Even I noticed that, and I don't watch a whole lot of them, but I just see like the perspective and go, yeah, I know what you're doing. I get it.
My favorite game of the year even has a sequence that seems like it's pretty much lifted. It's not lifted directly from PT, but there's like a little bit of a wink and a nod to it. So I don't know. I think it's kind of cool that so many people are playing with that, I guess, because we never got it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat to see people just playing jazz on the concept. So I like it. I appreciate it. That's why it's my number 4.
I believe somebody actually remade it recently, didn't they? They recreated it. Yeah.
I have it. I can't get it to run. It runs through the Epic Games launcher.
Oh, yeah. That explains everything. Say no more. I get it.
Which the only reason I downloaded it was because, you need the Epic Games launcher to launch this. And I was like, oh, all right. And then every time I go to do it, it just doesn't work. What I would love is if someone would make like a browser version of it, if that was possible. I don't think it is, but it would be cool if it was.
It'd just be nice if a, billion-dollar company like Epic could just make their fucking store work. I mean, that'd be great too, That'd be awesome. I mean, if little billions of dollars just can't get fuck that store. We don't care about it. Fuck you.
Not to be that guy, but I would just like to remind people, like, just get in the gaming space, that Steam sucked ass when it came out too. Now, that's not to say that Epic shouldn't have learned from those mistakes, but people forget that, like, Steam was a shit show that everybody hated for a good stretch of time.
Oh yeah. Oh, no doubt. But still, like, if you're going after the Steam, basically, you gotta fucking, at least try.
Yes, I agree.
I don't know. It's just weird. Okay. Well, I guess I will go next. Fine. Because I was talking, so that's how that works.
Sure.
I'll follow up PT with an absolute banger of horror extravaganza-ness, and that's The Sims 4. When you kill off an entire household in The Sims 4, everybody becomes ghosts, and they are haunted. You can also get in an apartment, and the little old men or whatever will come out, and they will fuck up your sink while you're sleeping, and it's bullshit because then you gotta wake up and you gotta fix the goddamn sink. And it's a whole thing. And it's bullshit and you hate it, but that's ghosts. That's what they do. They just wake up and they're mad at stuff. You never know. Sometimes they're mad, sometimes they're like horny. I don't know. Ghosts are weird. I don't understand. Also, there's a place in The Sims 4. It's like some like ghost house place, but everything's like roped off. And you can't go and see any of the things, but sometimes ghosts are there. Very rarely, but they're there. And that's my number 3 pick. Congratulations. Thank you for your time.
I actually do like that one a lot because I've been watching a lot of like Sims videos where this guy he just like tortures his Sims in terrible ways, and like I didn't realize that there were ghosts in the Sims until I saw those videos, and then the ghosts can actually die if you treat them badly enough. Like so you can also bring them back to life somehow. I've never been able to do it. You have to go through a bunch of shit to do it, like actual in game. You can also just cheat, which is what I do, and just bring them back to life, and that's fine too. But there's some like in game vanilla way to like go through a bunch of shit to bring a sim back to life, or you can just do like I do and just eventually before they die turn them into a vampire so then they never die. But and then they get mad. You can also, like, if you don't like the ghost but you knew the ghost, you can be like, I want to send them to the afterlife, and then they disappear forever, so it's fine. That's how you deal with your ghost problem.
I fell down a deep rabbit hole with The Sims like last Christmas, and I went through all of the things. I did the cowberry plant, and that's how I got my first ghost. I killed my daughter's boyfriend with it.
Very nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. And so then he got turned into a ghost, and then the hot goth neighbor accidentally got eaten by it, and she got turned into a ghost.
Was it one of the actual goths? Like the last name goth? Yeah, Bella Goth. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh yeah. Yeah, it
was her. But she had gotten old at that point, so
they do get old, unfortunately.
You bring them back with the I think it's the life elixir or the vitality elixir or something like that, and you give it to the ghost, and then they come back to life. I'm pretty sure.
I think it's that. There's a way to do it with that, or there's like a wishing well thing you can do, and there's like a book of life thing you can do. I can't remember. It's weird, man. That game is weird. It's weird. That's all I got. Anyway, Julian, what's your first pick for haunted house games?
All right. Well, as I said at the top, like this one was pretty challenging for me, but at least this first one that I've got actually is a ghost story. But it's not a house. It is Heavenly Host Elementary School from Corpse Party. As I've talked about many times on the show, like Corpse Party remains one of my like most impactful horror games of the last decade. Like I think of it a lot, and it's got all of the tropes of Japanese horror that you would want, but it's also like kind of extra creepy because it's a lot of like elementary school kid ghosts, and you kind of want to help them, but it's also like The Ring where it's like, oh no, if you help them it gets worse. And just like all of the weird distortions that you see, and like I distinctly remember this one part where you're trying to follow one of the ghosts, and again, because it's like a little girl, so you think that you need to help her, and she turns around, and when she turns around, like when you lock eyes with her, like the character goes insane. Like it's that type of ghost thing, and there's also a whole thing with like the caretaker who was like murdering kids and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of ill shit that went on at Heavenly Hosts.
That's awesome. I think that counts though. It's a house of learning.
Yeah, there you go.
That works.
Yeah,
I think that's anytime you can have like a haunted school. I'm such a sucker for a good haunted school story. There really aren't enough of them if you really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't too many good haunted school stories. Like I can't even, in terms of literature or film, I literally can't think of one right now of a good. You know what I'm thinking of is the movie Cabin in the Woods when they show the little Japanese schoolgirls exercising the ghost. That's really all I can think about. And then she gets turned into a little frog. Doesn't the ghost get turned into a frog or whatever? That's so good. But yeah, I can't. I mean, Justin, can you think of any good haunted school stories?
Haunted schools? I mean, Silent Hill, you always have to go to the elementary.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Midwich.
Oh, first game, yeah. That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's like a prominent location, I think, a few times. I think it's in Origins. I can't remember if it's in any of the other ones. I don't think it is.
It's in Shattered Memories too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Shattered Memories was like basically one
Remake-ish.
retold. Yeah. Pretty cool game though. That game's fucking awesome.
The ending where he has a threesome is always the most ridiculous one.
There's a lot of ridiculous endings in that game. I love how that game's like constantly psychoanalyzing you. Other than that, schools. No, I can remember. I don't know. No, that's not a school. I immediately went to like Rule of Rose, but that's not a school.
It's more just traditional mansion.
Yeah, that was weird.
The first clock tower takes place at a boarding school.
Mm.
Oh yeah. I think that's why I got that the school thing from because I thought boarding schools they had that game's weird.
Yeah, that's a good pick though, Julian. Shit.
Thanks.
Indeed.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that like Heavenly Host is kind of the main character of the Corpse Party series. Like everybody goes to Heavenly Host, right? Like that's where people get transported to. In every game, it's always Heavenly Host, and there's always different ill shit that's going on there. And oh man, that game is so good.
I remember in the first Persona game that I played on the original PlayStation they called it Persona Revelations, and like most of that game takes place in the high school.
Yeah.
And it's like perfectly normal, and then boom, it does like the Lovecrafty thing where it goes into another world kind of thing, and it's haunted as fuck. But yeah, that's the only one that's popping into my head now, actually, other than the Silent Hill and that, and now Corpse Party. There's room for a school horror. It's usually that's kind of the problem, right? Like that's usually it's in a high school, it's a slasher. It's like that. What's that game like Next Year that takes place in 1998, where it's basically like, Dead by Dawn, Dead by Daylight, whatever the hell that game is.
Oh, I haven't heard of that, but
yeah, it literally takes place in 1998. Like they specifically tell you that, and everybody looks like a Joss Whedon or Kevin Williamson movie. And
Dead by Daylight's the like the multiplayer game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is literally the exact same thing, only set in, I think it's either high schools or various locations within a high school, something like that.
Yeah,
man, you sold me with the 98 thing, though, because that's my senior year. So it's like, oh, I kind of want to see that now.
Yeah.
You know, they could do, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, you're fine. Go ahead. No, you're good.
I was thinking it would be really cool if they could do licensed music. And it's like the opening to that 1998 game or whatever. It's like, can I graduate?
Yeah.
So they could somehow do it like that. But
That album is actually like one of the albums that got me through high school.
Dude, by the way, we were talking about bands before we started recording that are really good, Coheed and Cambria, but Third Eye Blind, thick live, so good.
I'd love to see them. Yeah,
dude, they're amazing live. Stephen Jenkins is a hell of a frontman. I've seen them twice. Yeah.
I would not think to go see Third Eye Blind. Their music makes me laugh. I won't lie. The only other like haunted school thing that I just thought of is I guess it's more of a slasher, but I guess it would kind of count for this category, would be Danganronpa. Cause it's like basically you get stuck in a school and there's like people are dying all around you and you're trying to figure out who the hell's killing all these people, and then like it's weird. That game's weird. But like there's a bunch of parts in that game that scared the shit out of me, because the little Monokuma bear, who's like black and white, he would just pop up out of nowhere when you're just trying to enter a room and be all dickish to you, and then somebody would die. It was weird. That game was crazy. I've been meaning to play the second one. I might do that pretty soon here.
The other game that just popped in my head when you were talking about that is Obscure. Do you remember that game for the for the Xbox, the original Xbox, and I guess PlayStation 2? That takes place on the whole game takes place on the grounds of their high school, and that does the whole like, oh, if they die, that's it thing. Long before what the hell is that game? What's the one? What's her face? The cute blonde girl from Heroes was in it. Remy Malik.
Oh, the Until Dawn, yeah.
Yes.
It was before they did it, and even though like I love Until Dawn, but Obscure I think is so much better, and it's creepy and Lovecrafty, and it's dark as hell. That's a really good, and it's got like it has like the updated best possible version of the like tank controls from the Resident Evil and Silent Hill type thing, but they're not very tanky at all. That was a great game. I should have put that on my list.
Well, now that we've listed every horror-themed school in video games, Rob, why don't you give us your next one?
Oh, sorry. Yes. I have to lift up my phone. I'm on my phone now, everybody, and I have it on my notes. You can still see me, right?
No, but it's okay. We'll see you in a sec.
Okay. So, to go along sort of with your last episode, I put the Salem Witchcraft Museum from Fallout 4 on the list.
I thought about that one, yeah.
I wrote my little thing that I wrote is it's terrifying for its level of suspense, and for a great final boss, the Salem Witch Museum is loaded with tense moments, great sound design, and spectacular atmosphere. It even hosts what's one of the best side quests in the game.
Very true.
I like it. I like it when games like that aren't horror at all can like just like a little bit go into horror, and it's like out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, that was actually pretty effective, and I wasn't expecting it. You know, like I really appreciate games that can do that.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I'm sure you don't, Justin.
No, I don't. I actually like spent a lot of time in Fallout 4 or searching mods for Fallout 4 that would take out ghouls because they scare me. They like crawl under shit and then they hit you from behind. It's not okay. I don't like it. It makes me jump every time. Yeah, no, that part's terrifying. Like I did that one time and I was like, okay, I'm good on that, because it is like it's creepy. Like you're walking through and like the basic premise of it is there's a death claw in this place, but you don't really know that. And it's like it killed all these guys that went in there, and like it's dragging bodies around and shit. You don't know what it is though, and it's just like you just hear these bodies being dragged and all this stuff. It's creepy.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool if you're into that sort of thing.
And they do really cool animation effects where they have like the dust falling from the floorboards of the ceiling and stuff. Like when you're on lower levels, and you have what was the other thing that's really creepy? The mannequins.
Oh yeah,
mannequins everywhere. Yeah. So you look, you're like, oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, they do there's a lot of mannequins in Fallout 4, actually. Like, the Raiders always have, like, mannequins and shit, and are doing weird stuff. Yeah, Fallout 4 is, like, it has, like, a lot of creepy shit, actually. Like, not every place, but, like, it's actually, like, pretty creepy in a lot of spots. Like, especially, like, there was the last DLC that they put out was like set in an amusement park, and like you're up against this like supernatural dude sometimes, and he just like pops in and out of places, and like that shit gets fucking creepy, man. Like it's weird.
That's the best part of that DLC.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is pretty cool.
Boom magician guy.
Yeah,
with the green skin or whatever. Yeah,
yep.
That is the best part of that whole thing. I mean, the lead getting up to Nuka World. I just played through it recently.
Yeah.
I played all of Fallout 4 recently, and getting on the train and everything leading up to Nuka World, it's fantastic. And then once you get there, you're like, oh, this is if you want to play this game as a real piece of shit.
Yeah, basically.
I just was not into that, and I was like, well, like to.
Yeah, well, one of people's complaints is that like they couldn't like truly role play in that game, and because there was no like real bad guy option outside of the spoilery option that you can go with, but that's really it. And even they're like not that bad. I mean, they are, but they aren't. Like, I don't know how to explain them. Siding with the Raiders and like, fuck everybody. That's the bad guy option that people were really like wanting to have, But yeah. Yep.
But yeah, Salem Witch Museum, man. And actually, as someone who's been to Salem like a bunch of times, and actually we were planning on going this year, but we obviously can't. But actually, that's not true, because like I was a writer buddy of mine lives in Salem, and he's like, dude, thousands of people are still coming, and it's crazy. But it's awesome. Salem's a great place. So finding that in the Fallout universe was really neat. And I was like, the Witch Museum, like I've been to the Witch Museum. It doesn't quite look like this, but that's still cool.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just, I played through that. I played through Fallout 4, I think 2 times, maybe.
Yeah.
And I made a point to do like, oh, I got to find the Witch Museum. I have to go through that part. I really love that part. So the second time I did it, I took Strong. And even though Strong is arguably the worst written character in that game, other than the dude who's the Minuteman.
Everybody hates that guy.
He tried to kill him so many times. I just wish he wasn't essential.
Unfortunately.
But Strong, it's a tragedy that Strong isn't written better, because the whole Milk of Human Kindness thing, they could have really come up with a really beautiful loyalty mission for him with that. But they just failed to do so. But bringing him into the Salem Witch Museum, he expresses fear in that.
Interesting.
It's really kind of, because he's just always like, I'm going to eat everybody and kill everything. But then in the Salem Witch Museum, he's like, I do not like this human.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And of course, like having him in the fight against the Deathclaw at the end is obviously preferable.
Yeah, probably. I'm trying to think of like the creepiest part that I remember from like vanilla Fallout 4. I think the creepiest part for me that I always like the creepiest dude in that game is the I can't remember his name, but there's like a serial killer in that game who just like he just runs around killing raiders, and eventually you have to go like hunt him down, and like he's just doing all this like real Hannibal Lecter ass shit to people, like, and you're in his hideout basically, and then he just like comes and casually talks to you, and you're like, oh, I don't like this at all. It's weird. That part's always cool.
They had something like that in one of the Elder Scrolls games too, and that's where I remember them doing that. I think it was Morrowind. No, what was the one that was on Xbox? Was that Morrowind?
Morrowind. Yeah.
I remember there was a serial killer subplot in there that I was like head over heels in love with. It was so good. And what's the one with the one with all the gates, the Hell Gate things? Which one is that?
That was Oblivion.
That's the one where the serial killer story is. And they did some really dark shit in that game, actually. And the serial killer storyline in that one was really sick, because he leaves notes everywhere.
Yep.
Talking about his crimes and stuff. And I think he does in Fallout 4. Like, the serial killer in Fallout 4 does kind of the same thing.
Yeah, there's a serial killer in Skyrim, actually, too. He's in Windhelm. You have to like go there a certain amount of times for the quest to trigger. You can hear about it, like people will tell you like, man, all these people are getting killed. We don't know who's doing it. It's weird. It's crazy. And then like eventually you discover like this body like just sprawled out on the graveyard just with nothing, no clothing or anything, and you have to sit there and solve the murder, and like that's a pretty cool mission. I always like doing that one.
Theory. There is a quest designer that works at Bethesda who actually, in fact, is a serial killer, and he's using the storyline in the games to talk about his crimes.
It could be.
Well, I always hate it because, like, it's actually the Skyrim one's kind of weak because I know who it is, right? But like, it's not actually that hard to figure out who it actually is if you're really paying attention. And like, I'm like. So one time I was just like, what happens if I just try to go kill that dude right now? Like, fuck that guy. Let's just kill him right now. And nothing like, he's like essential. Like, I'm like, that sucks. Like, and like, I'm trying to prevent all this stuff from happening because he kills Susanna the Horrible or whatever. And I like her. She's cool.
You have to play it the way the designer intended, Justin. That's how he gets his pleasure.
I know. I mean, more about Skyrim later, honestly, but because there's a thing.
Julian, at any given moment, isn't the number like 500 active serial killers in the country at all times? Isn't that the statistic from the CIA or the FBI?
I don't know. I'm not the one who did a podcast about a serial killer, so.
Indeed.
Voices from Gilgo available on the podcaster of your choice.
Right.
I still get emails and stuff about it. It's really creepy.
It was a good series. It was very well produced.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah. Well, Justin, what do you have next, sir?
What do I have next, people? I have this one from The Witcher 3. There's a quest in Witcher 3. It's like a mainline quest that you have to go do because you're trying to hunt down Ciri, who's cool. So you want to save her, but you don't know where she's at. So you got to go through some unconventional tactics to find her. And you have to go find this lady who's called let me look it up here because our Oneromancer.
I was thinking about this one today. Yeah.
Yeah. This was one of the first ones that like came to my mind. So the Oneromancer, I can't remember her exact name, but that's probably for the best because if you haven't played that game, it's, I guess, I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, but you have to find this lady, right? She she has dreams and she can like find out stuff from dreams because she dreams about people. Witcher 3 is weird. But long and short of it is you track her down. She's in this house and you go and you get to the house and there's this guy outside. He's like, hey man, you're a Witcher. There's some weird shit in this house. I don't know what it is. Can you possibly get it the fuck out of there though? Cause it's not okay. And I'm trying to sell it. He says it a lot cooler than that, but that's my, breakdown of what he said. So you're like, all right, yeah, I'll do it. Fine. So you go in there because the lady's in there that you need to talk to, and all this stuff starts being real weird. Like it's very creepy. You're hearing like footsteps all around you, and there's like children laughing and shit, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. And then you find the Oneromancer, and she's in bed, and she's saying some wild shit, and you don't know what's going on there. And then you go into this, like, I remember you go into this room, and like the door closes behind you, and it's pretty creepy. But then you find out it's just Sarah, and she's a little godling, and she's been doing all this weird because you go down in the basement because of course you do. You have to go in the haunted house basement because that's where all the bad shit is, and you find her underneath the heater or whatever, and she gives you a little jump scare if you're not expecting her. But I usually know she's coming. But anyway, she's like, yeah. I didn't want these people to sell this house because this is where I live, and it's not okay if they sell this house because this is where I live. And you're like, okay, all right, and you can be an asshole and you can go get some stuff to get her out of the house, or you can not be an asshole and be like, hey, I don't know, man, it's just haunted. You go and tell the guy, whatever. It's just, I don't know, that house is fucked. It's weird. Can't do anything about it. I mean, aren't you a Witcher? Yeah, that's crazy, right? It's crazy. But the godling stops fucking with the Oneiromancer because she's the one giving her all these weird dreams, and then you track down Ciri and the story goes on. But I always remember that house. Like, I always remembered that mission from The Witcher 3 because it stood out in my mind. Like, because I remember walking through it and being like, oh, this is creepy. Like, and there's a lot. I always love the Witcher universe because there's always an explanation for what's happening. Like, they always, and usually Geralt is like onto it immediately. He's like, oh, it's this thing. I know it's this thing, and we need this and this and this to get rid of this thing. But like it's kind of interesting because he's even kind of like, I don't really know what's going on. Let's dig around and figure this out. But it's cool, man. I like that part. It always stuck out in my mind, and it's a cool little haunted house moment in that game. I'm sure there are other moments in that game that are haunted house because, I mean, you're killing ghosts all the time in that game, but this was the one that always stuck out in my mind.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. There's another one that's kind of a red herring. Like, it's not actually haunted, but it makes you think it is, and it's where you actually you encounter, is it Bartello or something? He's the other Witcher, the bald Witcher, and he's like set all these booby traps in this place, but like you're led to believe that it's haunted because there's all this weird shit going on, but it's just because he's like booby trapped the thing to Kingdom Come, and he's like trying to keep people from, getting the one up on him.
Yeah, I can't remember. That was the bald guy. That guy's awesome. You go. I think the lady who sends you on that quest is really cool, and I missed it the first time around because I remember I was talking about that when I played through it earlier this year. And yeah, she sends you. She's like, that house is cursed. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's cursed. Shit's bad. I need you to get the ghosts out of there. And you're like, all right. And then you go, and then, it's just that dude just like basically set up a fortress so nobody could get to him, and you have to track him down. That one's pretty cool too. But I always, the Godling one always stuck out in my mind. Like, there's a lot of parts of The Witcher that I remember when I was playing through that I like slowly remembered. As I do with a lot of games, I'm finding like when I go back and play them a second or third time, I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember how this goes down, and then I start going through it in my head. But that one I was always like, no, if you would have asked me to name a quest from The Witcher, I'd be like, there was that part where you go into the house and it's all creepy. And like, it would have been a bad explanation, but like, and I knew exactly, what was doing it. So, but that part's cool. I like that part. It's one of my favorite parts of that game, probably. Among there's a lot of high points of that game. Yeah,
it's a really good one. Yep.
Julian, what's your next pick for haunted house stuffs?
So this one, I think this, the more I think about it, I think this fits a lot better than initially when I first thought of it. The Oldest House from Control, which is actually plagued. I mean, it's sort of like, the Bureau of Control, like, they deal with a lot of shit, right? They're basically like the real life X-Files in this universe. But when you reach the Oldest House in the story of Control, it's being taken over by the Hiss, who are basically just like extra dimensional beings. And there's a lot of theories about ghosts that, they're not actually the souls of the dead, but you're seeing after images from like parallel dimensions and stuff like that, which is totally what the Hiss are. So I actually, now the more I think about it, the more it fits. But also just because like the Oldest House is so flippin' creepy just on its own, because it has like all these weird like staircases to nowhere, and there's that, there's parts where you like flip a light switch and then all of a sudden you're in this like old style like 60s motel, and you have to like find your way through the doors, and then you're in a different part of the building because it like, it's basically like a wormhole from different points. And the fact that like the Oldest House is like, it's like a TARDIS. It's bigger on the inside. Like it's infinite, really. Like no one really knows, how far it extends. And it's just a very fascinating place to explore. Like, I definitely have issues with Control as a video game, but like the setting and the story are like really, really good. Rob, if you haven't played that one, like I think you would really like it.
I remember you talking about it on here, and I was like, that game sounds awesome. It's from the guy who did
Max Payne.
Yeah,
Alan Wake. Yeah,
Alan Wake, yeah.
But I do want to play that. I've seen a little bit of gameplay footage here and there. It looks really neat. Like I don't know, the lead character is female and like floating around and shit. Like that's pretty cool. I think I think it's awesome. I'll wait. I'm sure it'll come to Game Pass at some point.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I could totally see that one coming to there.
I think, and I haven't played Witcher 3 yet either, and I know that that's on Game Pass. So I'm like, what am I waiting for? I just don't have hours to dedicate to
that one. That one is pretty time consuming, so I could understand that one. Control's a lot shorter though, so you should be able to get into that one maybe.
Meanwhile, I'm like, I just replayed Fallout 4. It's like, well, why am I doing
Hey man, I've replayed Fallout 4 a few times too. Sometimes you're just like, I'm not in the mood to do that other new thing right now, so I'm just gonna play through an old comfort food, especially this year. Like,
this is the year for comfort food games.
It
man.
really is.
I think also I really miss the VATS system, and I wish that was in other games because that's my first way of fighting in the game. Like I never run and gun or any of that shit. I turn the corner, VATS, and then do the whole thing.
I spam the button. When I walk anywhere, I just spam the button. Like that's how I play that game. Yeah.
But that's how I play the first Mass Effect. Like, there's an encounter. Let me pause the game and let me mouse over or cursor over all these enemies. It's like, okay, you're gonna get singularity and you're gonna get stasis and you're gonna get sabotage and here we go.
You know what killed me? I was trying to think of Mass Effect things the other day. I can't remember things about Mass Effect that much anymore.
Let me tell you something. When I was talking about remembering games, going through them, that might have been one of them. Can't say for sure.
Like Mass Effect 2, I can remember story beats from Mass Effect 2. Like I remember who Archangel is. I remember the fire chick. And I remember the ending, and I remember the elusive man and stuff like that. But other than that, I remember almost nothing about Mass Effect.
Interesting.
Isn't that strange? And I remember jack shit about Mass Effect 3.
It's especially interesting because you and I talked so much about Mass Effect, like on not only this podcast, but Pixel Talk, the podcast before this. But I will say that, like, having played through Mass Effect recently, I was shocked at how much I had forgotten about the lore. So I actually took the time to, like, I'm going to read every codex entry again, and I'm going to get deep into it again because, like, I used to know the Mass Effect universe better than, like, what my knowledge of Star Wars and Star Trek combined.
I remember for me, the two science fiction worlds of lore I knew the best were Mass Effect and Halo. I knew both of those worlds inside and out, and now I can remember parts of the Halo universe, and I don't even play Halo really anymore at all. But I play Halo Wars. That's like the only one that and it's only the first one. And I remember little bits and pieces of that, but like Mass Effect, I'm like the Forerunners, but no, that's Halo. Forerunners are Halo. So see, like even that, I'm confused. The Prothean.
Protheans are Mass Effect.
I was going to say Protheans are Mass Effect. You were close. I even want to say that, like, when you said Forerunners, I was like, I think somebody calls them that, but I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, every video game science fiction story has to have their ancient aliens, right? Yes. Like, it's ubiquitous. You got, what is it in Assassin's Creed? What are they?
Oh God, I don't remember it all.
Okay. I know that there's like precursor type.
My knowledge of Assassin's Creed is gone. That is one of those things that, like, after the third one, I just watched the third one. I was like, I don't need to know anything about this. This is not interesting enough.
I don't remember if it was DLC from Mass Effect 2 or if it was a character in Mass Effect 3 when they finally had a Prothean character.
It was a DLC add-on for Mass Effect 3 that you got automatically if you bought the Collector's Edition, which that made a lot of people angry, but I bought the Collector's Edition because I was a huge Mass Effect fan. But he didn't... like, he wasn't a fully fledged character, which sucked. Because he wasn't one of the characters you could actually just run up and talk to on the ship. You would go to talk to him and he would just say like a canned line of dialogue. You could only really interact with him like on missions. And I was like, that's lame. He's a Prothean.
That defeats the entire purpose. That's terrible. Yeah.
That's like in what the hell was it? In Dragon Age, the second one. That's not good. Dragon Age 2. I thought it had a stupid name like the other ones do, but it's just Dragon Age 2. They have that really interesting character who nobody seems to like other than me, Sebastian the Archer, that you can get as a downloadable character, and I really liked him because he shows his character charts genuine growth from being like, hi, I'm a super racist, spoiled rich white guy to, hey, I went on this adventure with all these different people, and you know what? Like, I'm going to support them now. Like, they mean something to me. And then, like, you couldn't interact with him at all. Like, I was like, this character is actually really cool. Like, I would want to spend, but I mean, they mentioned him in Inquisition. They're like, oh, Sebastian Vale sent this over, and I was like, oh, is he coming back? Let's go. He was a good character. Suck. But yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
I'm not Mass Effect. It's just gone.
Well, you know, the rumor is there's that remaster coming out next year, so maybe that's a good time to like just reacquaint yourself with it.
I was going to say a lot of my knowledge was going to, and trust me, you'll start the game up and go, oh yeah, like every time you go to another planet, you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah, I remember this, and you'll.
Handworm things, right? I remember that now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dread mall. Thresher malls. Those things scare the shit out of me.
Yeah, as well they should.
Yeah.
But we've gone far afield here, Rob. Get us back on track.
All right, so because we're doing 3, I won't do my second pick. I'll jump to my number 1 pick, and then I'll save my second pick as like a backup if you want. So
cool.
My number 1 pick for Best Haunted House in a Video Game is Gahan Wilson's Ultimate Haunted House. This is a game that came out in 1993 and featured an animated, colorful haunted house loaded with all kinds of spooks and specters, including an obnoxious little boy who would chastise you if he happened to randomly appear in whatever room you were in. You were tasked with finding 13 keys before midnight. There was a ton of puzzle solving and experimenting with different outcomes, all drawn and animated using Gahan Wilson's art style. And Gahan Wilson was a cartoonist for The New Yorker and Playboy and a bunch of other outlets. And this game is just, I remember like my girlfriend had it when she was a little kid, and I had it when I was a little kid, and I watched a Let's Play of it when we were kicking around this idea. And the Let's Play was an hour and a half for this guy to like expertly get through it. So it was a pretty long one, I guess. But like, it's just so much fun. The little boy is so annoying. Like when you make a mistake, he goes, uh-oh. And he turns into a monster. It's so stupid. And then Gahan Wilson himself is supposed to be like a character in it. And he's nice at some point. And then he turns into like a monstrous version of himself when you make a mistake. It's a lot of fun. It's really cute. His art style is beautiful and just super charming. And there's a brilliant documentary out about Gahan Wilson. I think it's called Born Dead Still something. I can't remember. But he's a really interesting figure. He passed away not super long ago. But he's a really interesting figure. You can find his documentary. I think it's on Amazon Prime. But really interesting, really cool guy.
So, and was this a PC game?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, was this like a point and click adventure type game? Okay.
Yeah.
I was, because I remember when we mentioned this stage select, I was like, oh yeah, it wasn't like The Seventh Guest, like a big haunted house game.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like a friend of mine telling me all about it, but I was like, but I probably couldn't speak to it, so like, because I don't remember that game. I don't even know if I've ever watched that game. But I remember him telling me the story of The Seventh Guest or whatever, and being like, you gotta see it, it's so creepy. And I was like 8 or whatever. But yeah, like there was a lot of like cool like horror haunted house type point and click adventures back in those days. Like I'm glad we touched on that, because I was wondering if we would.
I wanted Phantasmagoria so badly.
Yes.
And like there was no way that I was going to be able to get that past my mom. And then I started to watch like a little bit of like a Let's Play of it, and I was like, oh, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you can't go back to it, right? Because it's just so cheesy. But also it's like it opens up with like pseudo Skinamax like porn like scene, and it's like, this is weird. Like it's a very long. It's sort of like, Rob. It's like the lovemaking scene from The Room, like where it's like this is going on for a while. Yeah. Like why are we still here? Like, what does this have to do with anything?
Is that a great song playing? The "You are my rose, you are my rose."
Unfortunately, not.
But yeah, this is like this is a very kid friendly haunted house. It does get pretty scary at points, especially when Gain Wilson like hulks out and scares you. That's particularly creepy, but it's just fun and it's sweet and it's random every time. There's different levels of difficulty, but no matter what level of difficulty it is, it's nothing is ever the same twice. So
nice.
I think
that's a really cool pick. Like, definitely like out of nowhere. Like I like that. Like just kind of pulling a deep cut.
Deep cuts.
Yeah.
Deep cuts.
I definitely recommend watching, if you can find it online, watch a little like Let's Play of it. It's very cute. It's charming as hell. And his art style is just fantastic.
Nice. All right. Well, I guess it's my turn now. Okay. Well, I don't think I'm going to follow that. Well, we go from kid-friendly to maybe the least kid-friendly thing on this list, probably. So in Skyrim, there's a little out-of-the-way quest that you can pick up from the bartender and the Ratway. I can't remember that guy's name. It's something funny. But he's the guy from the Thieves Guild. Everybody knows him. Stop acting like you don't. No, but he asks you. I don't know why I say the things I do sometimes. I just say words. But anyway, he sent you on this quest. He's like, hey, I got a buyer, because this is the Thieves Guild. They have weird buyers for shit, and they're trying to hunt down stuff. He's like, hey, I got a buyer for this like weird journal from this guy named Arundel. And we don't know where he's at. If you can track him down, though, I will be very interested in him. And you're like, all right, sure, I'll go find him, whatever. And it's you have to talk to the guy. It's not like a main quest line. It's not even, it's not part of the guild or anything. It's just a little side quest thing that you can do. And basically what it is you go to this place called Ingvild, and it's like a little fortress thing. It has a little cave and stuff like that. And you go in there, and immediately you start noticing that everything you're fighting is female. There's female Draugr, which are like, the weird Nordic zombies or whatever. And there's like female ghosts, like there's like actual specters and stuff in there. And you're going around, you're collecting this guy's journal entries, and you like one page at a time. So you're kind of learning the story as you go. So like the story goes, it's right next to a town called Dawnstar, and he got kicked out of there because he was a necromancer. What's that?
No, I'm sorry, because you said Dawnstar. That's a thing in the esoteric world.
Oh, okay.
And talking about like ancient demonology and stuff. So as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, I think I know what's coming.
Oh, there's a lot of like dark shit going on in Dawnstar, even aside from this. So it's pretty wild. This isn't like Dawnstar's main thing. I think their main quest is like people are having like weird dreams and shit, and like and that's another story for another time. But anyway, in Dawnstar.
They only sell Dawn, though.
They only sell Dawn. Just, don't question it. Buy all your Dawns here. You can wash all the dishes. Anyway, I need to stop doing that because I get so far off. Anyway, you go there, you find out that this guy got kicked out. He was a necromancer. He was doing some weird experiments. They were like, hey, you need to get the fuck out of here with that stuff. So he's like, all right, I'll get the fuck out of here with that stuff. So he finds this like little crypt. And he's like, okay, hey, I can do all my like weird experiments here. So he starts doing all his weird bullshit experiments, he makes his own little army of, he only resurrects the females, of course, because he is a necrophile. Yeah, necrophile.
Necrophiliac.
Yeah, necrophiliac.
Necrophiliac, necromancer, incel.
Yes, basically. So he's bringing back all the female corpses and stuff, and he's basically he learns how to like control them and turn them into his slaves. And one day, a girl from Dawnstar that he recognizes kind of stumbles in there, and they capture her. And then he goes, "Oh hey, now I have somebody new to do this to." So he does basically kills her or whatever, turns her into a thing, and she becomes a ghost instead of a Droger. And now she's and he's like, "Oh man, ghosts are awesome. They feel great." Because he's a creepy motherfucker. So now he starts sending all the Draugr into town to capture more of the women in Dawnstar, and he keeps doing this. And that's all the people that you're fighting are all these, like, every ghost you fight is somebody that got captured by these Draugr, and every Draugr you're fighting is, was in this tomb that he resurrected and all this stuff. And, you battle your way up through this, like, tower. I can't remember if it's up or down, but it's very icy. That's my story. And you fight him and you kill him, and if you're a female, he comments on like you being female. Basically, he's like, "Ooh, a new person for my harem." I didn't say that, but that's basically what he's building. He's building his like little harem or whatever. And like I remember it being like super weird and creepy to the point where I was like, I feel very icky doing that quest. It's just one of those, you feel icky when you do it. It's like ugh. And like I know if you kill him, you can go into the back room, and he just has like a ghost girl just laying in his bed, and like she doesn't do anything. She won't get up and attack you or anything. She just lays in the bed while you loot everything around her, basically. And yeah, I believe it's implied that that's the first woman that basically stumbled into his camp or whatever that he turned into, because apparently she was his favorite or something like that. But it's really creepy and weird. Yeah.
This quest was also designed by the person who did the serial killer quest for all of the other games.
I wouldn't doubt it, dude. There's somebody there that's just really into fucked up stuff. But yeah, it's creepy and weird, but like it's interesting. Like it's one of those quests that I always remember. Like, you know what I mean? Like it always stuck out in my mind. Like I said, I remembered it this morning. I was like, oh yeah, I went over. I was like, there's got to be something in the Elder Scrolls that's like that, because I remember fighting ghosts all the time. The first one I thought of was in Skyrim was Labyrinthia, and I was like, yeah, but that's not really a haunted house. There's just kind of ghosts there. Like it's not really scary or anything. There's just ghosts there, and they're holding back an ancient dragon priest or whatever. It's bullshit. No, but that one's like weird and creepy and just has these like weird vibes and everything to it. There's probably scarier quests in that game, but I don't remember them because I don't play them. But that one,
I had stuck with Skyrim because I quit Skyrim after I fought the first dragon.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I think I'm done with this. I think I've accomplished everything I can.
Yeah, Skyrim's weird. It's the most watered down Elder Scrolls that there is, like bar none. Like I'm a big Elder Scrolls fan, and I'm the first. I like Skyrim because there's a big modding scene for it, and I enjoy that. But I'm the first to tell you they took a lot of things out of that I loved in like Oblivion and Morrowind. There's a lot of the customization and like deep RPG stuff isn't there anymore. They made it. They made it Mass Effect 2 burn a little bit, where but there are things in there that are really good. There are like a lot of side quests. You do have to go out of your way for them. And like the Thieves Guild quest is pretty good. There's like the guild quest lines are pretty good. That's Skyrim. Anyway, yeah, I like that quest. It's pretty good. I feel like it counts, but that's I'm also a huge coward. So
I think that because it's a guy. So remember, like what I said on Twitter was like, an area that's corrupted by an outside force then becomes haunted. Like that, if that's like the one base criteria, that crypt was just a crypt until that asshole came in and started molesting all the ghosts and
basically,
yeah.
Yeah, he took all the people from Dawnstar and just turned them into ghosts. And what's weird is that like the ghosts don't have anything to defend themselves really. They're just they'll attack you, but they only have like daggers.
Here's a question for you: did you kill the one dead?
I don't think I did. I think I let them live because they don't attack you. Depends on what kind of character you're playing. If you're playing an asshole, then yeah, I kill them. But most of the time, nah.
If there's the concept of death of a ghost in the Elder Scrolls universe is like that's releasing them.
Yes.
And you gotta kill her.
You're right. I probably should have killed her.
If her whole sole purpose is literally to fuck this creep, then yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Well, live and learn. Next time I do that quest, you know.
She can't, Justin. She can't.
Well, good thing it's just a video game. Anyway, Julia, what's your number one pick, sir?
All right. This one should come as no surprise to anybody, and I'm gonna, you know, like I said, I interpreted this as like a broad interpretation, but I think I can actually finagle this more into Rob's like narrower definition. But it's the Spencer estate from Resident Evil 1, specifically from the Resident Evil 1 remake.
All right.
So, I mean, obviously you have like the zombies who are, I mean, you know, they're the corpses of the dead, but I would posit that the Spencer estate is haunted by the insanity of Spencer. I forget his first name, but the person who owned the estate, who was so paranoid and just like was such a corrupting, like he was just so consumed by this thought that like people in Umbrella were coming for him, and so that's why you have all these crazy contraptions and weird door mechanisms in the estate, because that was his paranoia. And it actually, you know, if you want to get really geeky on Resident Evil lore, like that kind of permeates through the company. And so like that's the Ashfords who are in, you know, they're the ones that are running around in Code Veronica.
Yeah.
Like they take that ball and run with it. And yeah, like there's just so much like weird stuff that Spencer has done in that mansion. And then in the remake, you also have that new character that they added, where she's like, I think she was infected with the T virus.
She was someone's daughter. She was someone's daughter. That was one of the scientists. They infected her with, I don't know if she's the T virus. I think that's where they got the virus from, or something like that. It was either that or they got the G virus from her. They got one of the viruses from her.
Yeah. She might have been the first G virus.
Yeah, because she like survived, or either that or she was like the precursor to the Nemesis one. Because like the way she keeps coming back throughout the game or whatever, I can't remember exactly what she was the progenitor for, and it's driving me nuts right now because I just watched that not long ago. My brain. But yeah, no, she's awesome. Like, yeah, she just like hunts you down, like in like you can't kill her in certain spots, and yeah, she's creepy as hell. I forgot her name, but yeah, she has like
her design. You know, she's sort of like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and she's got like shackles, and you know, like she's just. You hear her coming, and she kind of drags her feet, and like just real like real different vibe to the game, and that's one of the reasons that I love the remake. Like it did so much to like expand on it.
She's the saddest, she is the saddest character in that game. Like it is like 100%. Tragic what happens to her. Like there's one where I know you read a journal entry from her or whatever. It's either from her or her mom.
I think it's from her mom after she dies.
Yeah. That shit's like, it breaks your heart. But I keep thinking there's one from her as well, and it's written in like basically little kid speak. But you kind of get, it's like mom's not here, or something like that. Mom went away. It was really like heartbreaking to read it, and then you slowly realize that's this monster you're fighting, and yeah.
The end.
The end. Thank you for your time.
I don't think I played the Resident Evil remake. Was that on the GameCube?
It was on the GameCube, but it's on everything now. Like they've released it on pretty much every system you can think of.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, because they did it was the remake, and then they did the remake remaster. And now there's little rumors that they're going to remake the remake, but I'm actually all for that after playing Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake. Like, I think they should definitely remake 1.
Jesus Christ.
And then in 10 years, they can remake the game.
Yeah, why not?
The world's going to be over by then.
I mean, that's true. Yeah. What was it? There was someone who was talking about, like a game. No. I'm sorry. It was movies because, everything's been moved, right? Because like they keep hoping that like movies are going to come back, and something got moved to 2023. And I was like, that's not a real year. That's not happening. What are you talking about?
They were just saying, Jason Blum just said, Halloween Kills is coming out October 2021, vaccine or no vaccine. That's literally what he just said, like, today. So it's like, oh, shit, line in the sand. All right. But, yeah, I don't, I haven't played any of the Resident Evil remakes. I just don't. So, and I like the Resident Evil movies. They are perfectly fine, ridiculous things. I'm excited for that new TV show that's going to be on Netflix, even though I don't have Netflix. There's a lot of really fantastic actors in that. That could be really cool. But I'm over zombies and mutant monsters, and I just don't have it in me to go through Resident Evil 2 again and see, like, I watched, like, how the same guy who I mentioned did the AI of Alien Isolation. Mm-hmm. He did the same kind of thing, only it's weird now because he works for the company. But, like, he did the thing about Mr. X, or whatever the fuck his name is. And he did, like, how does this character work? Where is he when he's not on screen kind of thing. Like, and I thought that was pretty interesting. Like, that stuff is really to me. Like, how Mr. X works is the most interesting thing to me about Resident Evil 2. But I played it when it came out. I get the basic broad strokes. I went through that game like 5 times when I was a kid. If the part with the liquor going across the window's not in it, and I just can't. And the fact that there's no Silent Hill and there is more and more Resident Evil every year just makes me salty. And it makes me sad. And I can't, there's only so many zombies I can kill, Julie.
Oh, no, yeah, we'll definitely get there in a video game cage match, because, zombies are definitely exhausted at this point.
It has been done to death. Like, Resident Evil may be the one franchise where I excuse it, because I'm like, they did it before. They were like the first, video game. I mean, they weren't the first video game to bring zombies. Let me rephrase it. But they were like, the pop ones that
big
kind of
franchise,
made, that survival horror. They kind of put it on the map a little bit.
And also did something. It wasn't necessarily like the raised bodies of like the dead, right? It was like because they were infected with something, right? So it was a different twist on it.
And it kills me too, because a writer I really, really like, I'm actually reading his book right now, and I'm like, oh, what is this guy doing now? He's working on a TV show version of my favorite zombie movie of all time, and I'm like, dude, the fucking Walking Dead is ending. Like, Hollywood, take the hint.
Yeah,
it's over. Like, why are you wasting this guy's time working on that? And maybe he's all hyped about it. I'm sure he is. But, like, it's over, Johnny. Over. Just like on the plane. So, I never thought The Walking Dead would end, but it is. So it's like, okay. But, I mean, I am, like I said, I will watch that Resident Evil show because I watched The Witcher show. And I know that The Witcher is very popular and cool. And also, I love Superman, and I love when Henry Cavill has no shirt on, especially. Holy shit! But and also, I know that he's like a passionate guy for that franchise too. Mm-hmm. Like, I know he's a big video game guy, and he has been for a very long time a big video game and comic book. So to see him get to play 2 characters that he's always really loved, I'm like, that's really cool. So and I loved it, and it made me want to play the game. But, and like I said, I am excited for the Resident Evil show, but, like, what the fuck else can they do? And I remember liking the one that nobody likes, the Resident Evil game that nobody likes, with Wesker's kid.
Oh, 6?
Yeah, I really liked that one.
Oh, shit.
Oh, wow, you are a true fan of Resident Evil if you like 6.
I really like that one so much. I really enjoyed the hell out of that. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm wrong because I hated 5 and I hated 4. But then 6 comes out and I'm like, let's go. Wesker's kid. I'm balls deep in this. And I think the reason I liked it is because it reminded me so much of the movies.
Okay, I can see that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I do enjoy the movies a lot. And there are characters in Resident Evil that I'm like, yeah, I like that guy. Like, I like Brad, the pilot.
Oh, Brad's great.
Yeah, and I like Carlos so much.
Carlos is from 0?
Carlos
3.
is from Resident Evil 3.
Oh, yeah, duh. Of course. I'm getting... Who is the one from 0? Oh, he was bad.
Was it Victor or Vincent?
I think so.
I feel like it was a V name.
He was with Rebecca.
And he talked like this because he totally looked like he was going to talk like this, and he did.
I hated that guy. What was his name? Now I need to know.
You
I'm
don't,
sorry.
Justin.
Go ahead.
It's fine.
No, shut up. I need to know. You guys go ahead.
And I like Wesker. I think Wesker's a cool character and villain, and I like all the people from the original Resident Evil, and I like all the people from Resident Evil 2, and I like Resident Evil 3.
Yeah.
It's just I've been there, done that kind of thing. And I know that they added new stuff to it and everything. I'm sure the Nemesis is sick looking, and I know Mr. X is really cool. I just don't have it in me anymore.
Yeah, and I mean that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I started Resident Evil 7. I was like, this isn't for me. But then, and I wasn't sure about Resident Evil 2 remake because of Resident Evil 7, but I really enjoyed it. Although I will say that, like, gameplay wise, like, I don't really like the way the shooting feels in any of those 3 new Resident Evil games. But I get used to it.
Yeah. It was Billy Cohen, by the way. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, we were way off.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. As soon as I see it, I was like, Billy. Yeah. Billy.
Resident Evil 7 is the one with the white trash family.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one came out on Game Pass, right? And I think
it just did. Yes.
Should I play that or what? It's first person, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
You might want to give that one a shot because it is not what you're used to from the Resident Evil series.
Yeah, it's
and then
What's that?
I know that there's a woman who's like a spider. That's all I know.
There's like the whole family is like really weird, and like there's stuff going on there that they haven't done in the series before. I think eventually it does tie into the rest of the series, but they could have almost not called it Resident Evil and just called it could have just been like the first game in a new franchise because it feels so different.
Yeah, it almost has like PT vibes in certain spots of it,
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw.
Yes,
which is cool. All right, so I'll try that one then because we're getting close to the Halloween, and I literally haven't used my Xbox for anything other than HBO Max. So
right.
Probably could play something.
Well, man.
I guess we'll talk a little bit about what I've been playing and what you guys have been playing later. But all right, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no problem, man. No problem.
Well, that's it for us, so I think we should go ahead and hop on over to listener comments. And the first one that I have does come from our buddy Adam Bradbury on Facebook. And he says, for a haunted house game, I pick House of the Dead. House in the title, so I think that counts. I don't like run and hide scary games, and these games are the polar opposite. I have the collection on Wii, and it's a lot of fun. Great corny dialogue, too.
His last name is Bradbury?
Bradbury, yes.
How does he spell that?
Like the author.
Fuck yeah, I like this guy already.
And he should suffer like G did.
Yeah. Good. I have a lot of really beautiful memories of House of the Dead 2 because my dad used to play it all the time at the arcade, and then when I got a Dreamcast, he specifically wanted the light guns so we could play that on the Dreamcast. So I have a lot of really nice memories of House of the Dead. I'm glad somebody brought that up because House of the Dead is a lot of fun. Those games are a lot. And those absolutely count because there's all kinds of creatures in that. It's like Resident Evil, but it's light gun Resident Evil, which is fine.
Yeah. And also, Adam, if you have that collection on Wii, if you still have your Wii, I would definitely recommend House of the Dead Overkill because that game is just a lot of fun. That's the one that's all grindhousey and just is doing some really fun shit.
Imagine if they brought that game back now. If they brought House of the Dead back now and gave it like a really classy, expensive face like upgrade kind of thing. Holy shit, that would be so much fun.
I don't know what you would do with it, though. Although I will say, apparently, because this has been a problem for a long time now, right, is that you couldn't play light gun games on HD televisions. But I saw, I didn't watch the video, but, like, there is now a, like, third-party light gun that can work on HD screens. So if you want to play, you know, like those old light gun games, like I think you can use it with USB and stuff like that, and like an adapter, and so you can actually like play those on like a current screen or monitor, which that's really cool. I don't know why people didn't try to like develop that for like just on their, because those games were so popular, right? Like I think those things would still sell if you made those today, and I don't know why it stopped.
I would for the Xbox or whatever, I haven't bought a game in forever, but I would specifically buy that with the two guns. If that was something that was put out. That company should do whatever they can to make a deal with Sega to do House of the Dead and get on consoles somehow.
100%.
I could see a House of the Dead VR game working.
For sure.
Yeah, I could definitely see that working. And that would even like have, that would probably be the thing to take it into like the next, you know, step, I'm guessing. If you couldn't do light guns and, you know, really take off with technology like that, that would probably be your best bet. I mean, I don't know the VR market. I don't have the money to buy the VR stuff. I probably could, but I just don't care about VR, I'll be honest. But yeah, I could see it coming back in that form.
For sure.
All right.
That's a strong first pick.
It's a strong good one. I don't know. Why did I say it's a strong good one? That's terrible. Anyway, let's move on over to pixabit.com.
I was vibing with you the whole time.
It's a strong good one. We have over on pixabit.com, which is a website that you can go to look at video game things. Over there, we have our buddy San Andreas, and he says, number 1, Big Boo's Haunt in Super Mario 64. That's still the first thing I think of when I think of haunted houses in video games.
I was shocked that that didn't even pop into my head. But yeah, 100%. Like any of the haunted, you know, mansions in like Mario World or, you know, anything, because I think that's where they started.
Yeah, Mario World. 3? Yeah. No, it was Mario World. World was the first one that I can remember. There might have been 1 and 3, but I don't remember it.
Is that when you can 8 and spin around to the other side in Mario World? Okay. I've still never played Mario 64.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, like a lot of people, because obviously they just did that Switch collection, and a lot of people were like, oh yeah, Mario 64 sucks now. But I played it and I was like, this is still real fun. You know, like it's definitely rough around the edges, and I really wish that they had like gone the extra mile and just completely remade it. But, you know, just playing like straight up regular Mario 64 on like a nice sharp screen, I was like, I still really dig this. It's just very charming and just very cool level design.
Yeah, like those games don't need to be super high def. It's a cartoon character jumping on turtles. How fucking like fancy to be? I don't.
Yeah. Yep. That's how Nintendo makes its money. Number 2, he has Bowser's House in Final Fantasy's. What is that? 11? Is that 6? Okay, I'm bad with fucking Roman numerals. It's Final Fantasy 6.
That's a good pick.
You have ghost paintings randomly attacking you, and a boss battle against a painting of an Esper possessed by a demon. Oh, of course, after I read Esper, I'm like, oh yeah, of course it's 6. I'm stupid. Possessed by a demon, complete with a slow motion morphing effect that was pretty cool in 1994.
Rob, I know you don't know that one, but that is actually a really inspired pick. I was like, oh yeah, that's because it's like, you know, regular story, but then all of a sudden you get into this one little side quest and it's like spooky times, right? And like, yeah, you know, I think you actually, if I remember correctly, you fall into the painting and like there's all sorts of like weird stuff, and then you fight the actual monster in the painting.
Yeah, I think you're right. Man, it's been a long time since I played that.
That was Final Fantasy VI?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Kefka?
Yes.
That's the Kefka one. All right. His number 3 here, because he counts in a weird order. But his number 3 is Old Kasuto Village in Zelda 2, is a deserted town haunted by invisible fireball-tossing ghosts, which looked pretty creepy on the NES.
Holy shit, I actually remember that.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's a good pick. Yeah, that's creepy as hell. I remember thinking something wrong with my Nintendo. Why can't I see these guys?
Interesting.
Really good pick. Wow, that just brought back a lot of weird memories of like 6-year-old Rob. 30 years ago. Jesus Christ.
I just like.
Wow.
I could be wrong, but like I feel that like Zelda 2 was like that first game where it wasn't good, but I didn't realize that because it was a video game and I was a kid and I was just so happy to play a video game. I know a lot of people like Zelda 2, but
I was just going to say Zelda 2 has its fans, so.
Yeah.
I liked it, I think. Yeah, I remember liking it.
Yeah. But was it maybe because you just didn't know any better? No, I don't know.
I think we rented it once, and I don't remember Zelda 2 at all. I'll be honest.
Yeah. There was definitely, that was the first Zelda I ever played, and then I played the first one, and I didn't like the first one at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. Back when the sequels were like completely different games from the originals, like in that heady time. Next up, we have the return of Super Step. Mr.
Hooray.
Anderson, welcome back. We missed you. He says, my 2 favorite haunted houses in video games are Luigi's Mansion, because it's charming and not spooky at all, and the one in Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, because it gave me the most uneasy shit-in-my-pants feeling I think I've ever had in a video game. Just walking around in there made me feel uneasy. Those are like the like polar opposites of haunted houses.
Yeah.
How Luigi reacts to things. That's the cutest part of the Luigi stuff, is just seeing how much of a sissy he is, and he cannot handle anything.
Yeah.
But I remember we talked about the idea of a Luigi's Mansion game or whatever, where he's like, it's like an all hands on deck haunted situation or something like that. But that's a really nice, I like that. Those are 2 really good picks. Eternal Darkness, I don't remember playing too much of when it came out, but I know it's like considered a horror masterpiece now.
Yeah. The bummer about that one is that you can only play it on the GameCube. So it was never re-released or anything like that. And Nintendo owns it, but I don't know if they care to actually
probably not, because it's like a mature rated game, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's just not their thing. They just don't give a shit about it. But that game was the one with like all the sanity effects and stuff like that. And man. Oh man, the bathtub scare in the mansion was, I remember watching a playthrough, and that got me. It got me pretty good, because I was like, oh, I want to see all the creepy sanity effects. It sounds fun. And then bathroom scare. Fuck that shit.
The one that got me the most was the one where it said that it was erasing my saves.
Oh yeah. That's a different kind of scare.
Oh, yeah. All right, Justin.
After that, we have our buddy Casey Curran. And he.
Oh, no.
Did I skip? I did. I did. I went too far.
We got a couple last minute.
I apologize. I skipped somebody in my notes. I apologize. I started scrolling down. It's my bad. I slapped myself on the wrist, guys. You can't see it. I didn't do it. Don't worry about it. Anyway. We have our buddy Bookie, and he says this about a video game haunted house stuffs. He says, gotta be a Super Mario World ghost house. It just throws you for a loop and introduces special enemies and mechanics that you'll never ever even see again. The eerie music, the throwing out of the rules, the schoolyard-esque secrets that they are filled with. Great stuff. also have some Castlevania lore. Block 4A in Castlevania 3. Dracula's Curse is, hold on. Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse is called The Haunted Ship of Fools, which would take first place in names if Block 4 wasn't called The Murky Marsh of Morbid Morons? Yes, it's canon. All right.
I'll take your word for it, Bookie.
I believe him. He knows many things about Castlevania and Deus Ex. Those two games. Ask him anything. He knows.
Like, I don't like to toot my own horn very often, but like, Bookie is one of the few people that I interact with as far as video games go where I'm like, you know more than me.
Yeah. At least about these specific things. These very specific things.
No, but it's a very broad, deep.
He does know some. He has some deep shit, man.
Yeah, it's like a Jeff Gerstmann level of respect. It's just
Indeed.
like, wow.
Indeed.
All right, next up we have Casey Curran. His number 3 is Vault 92 in Fallout 3. He says, I consider Fallout vaults close enough to haunted since most of them are filled with corpses of their inhabitants and just enough looming threats to put you in danger. And my favorite is 92, where creative people were lured in and told they were to preserve art, when in reality they were subject to a white noise that would make them violent, obedient soldiers. They did not become obedient. Chaos ensued. That's like that. I think it was debunked, but there was like that story about the like Russian like sleep study. Yeah. Which I think they said that was actually not real, but like just the idea of like them just like going mad from like, you know, sleep deprivation.
Yeah, there's I remember that vault. I would say that counts for sure. That's creepy as hell. And there's even a riff on that in Fallout 4 a little bit. There's kind of a riff on the whole idea of preservation of art in Fallout 4 in one of the vaults too. So yeah, that's a good pick. And it is like the Russian sleep experiment. That's a good analogy to that.
Yeah. Bethesda getting a lot of props for the scary times.
Indeed, man. They got some weird shit, man. They got some creepy shit. The Vault,
yeah,
I always remember.
They have a serial killer on staff, so
they do
get some good stuff that way.
They have to.
It's always the stuff in Bethesda. It's always the side missions that are so memorable, and the main mission dog shit.
Yeah, that's usually about right. Yeah, the main mission can go to hell. I barely ever complete it.
Even, and that's I sort of feel bad saying that, because in the Oblivion, that main quest was dope.
That one wasn't bad. Yeah, that one isn't bad, where you gotta track down the Mythic Dawn. Yeah, that's one of the better ones.
Fallout 3 is terrible with the robot, Liberty Prime.
Yeah.
Better dead than red.
I mean, Liberty Prime comes back in 4 too, spoilers.
Remember seeing, I was like, really? Did you just this?
That's why a lot of people don't like 4.
I sided with the Institute, by the way, on my most recent playthrough, and I feel no regret about it.
I don't blame you. I like the Railroad, only because I dig their vibe. I just like them. I just walk in there, that lady smoking a cigarette. I'm like, I like this. I feel at home here. He's smoking a cigarette in a tunnel. I'm into it. That's all you have to do to get me on your side, is smoke a cigarette in a tunnel, and you're good.
I'll smoke a tunnel with any time.
That's my favorite Fallout 4 mod, is just the mod that lets you smoke cigarettes the entire time. Like, you pick up cigarettes throughout the entire game, and you can just smoke. And I'm just like, every time I'd like clear out everything, well, time for my character to have a cigarette. That was what I do every time.
I did the mod for cigars, because I'm a big cigar guy, so I had them, because you could find them everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So I had my character smoking cigars a lot, and then I had a mod for weed. So she and one of her compatriots would always be smoking pot after a big battle.
Nice. So, yeah, I think the one I was using like had all that stuff in there. I can't remember exactly. It was like it had like cigarettes, and I remember cigars, and I don't know if it had pot or not. I can't remember. Might have. Probably did.
Justin, did you join Solid Snake for a smoke during the extremely long installation times on Metal Gear Solid 4? Were you just like right there with him?
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely. No, I think 4 came out when I wasn't smoking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what got you started. You were like, that looks really good.
Yeah, there's Probably no. Well, I quit smoking other things, and that's what started me on cigarettes of all things. It's like I still need a vice. 'Cause I'm an idiot. I'm a fucking idiot.
Played by Kiefer Sutherland? Is he still?
Well, see, Metal Gear Solid ended with the 4th game, but I hear tell that if you were going to make a 5th game, you would do, like, someone would do something silly, like recast the main character as an actor like Kiefer Sutherland or something like that, which would be the stupidest thing ever, if there was indeed a Metal Gear Solid 5, but there is not. So.
Oh, wait. I thought he played him in 4. Who am I? Is he Sam?
No.
Who am I thinking?
You're thinking of David Hayter.
David Hayter, yeah.
Sure, I know played Snake, but didn't somebody? Wasn't it Michael Ironside? And then they made a Kiefer Sutherland. That's Sam Fisher, right? That's the guy.
No, that was Snake. Like I'll remove the joke for now. Kiefer Sutherland plays Snake in Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah,
which is just silly.
Oh, there is a Metal Gear Solid 5?
There is.
Yes, but I don't acknowledge it. That's the joke.
Yeah,
I'm an asshole.
That joke went completely over his head. Yeah.
That's the Phantom Pain with the chick who dances, the bikini girl, sunlight.
Yes. Yeah.
Hey, I
had to drop kayfabe.
I actually do want to play that one really bad, and I've hated Metal Gear for a long time. But
well, then you will love that one because it is not a Metal Gear game, so you'll be.
I mean, gameplay wise, it has like some like strong moments, I think, but
well, yeah, it's the best playing in the series.
Yeah.
It's just like, but all the rest of it is not there.
Yeah, the story is just
Anyway, moving right along. Casey's number 2 is Paragus in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2. He says, not a traditional haunted house, but this mining field is filled with murderous droids, tapes of people killing each other, and droids killing them, and has a Sith Lord who died in a war only to be resurrected with the goal of hunting your character down. If that doesn't meet a haunted house requirements, I don't know what does.
Totally does.
Yeah. You've got an undead Sith after you. Like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That works for me.
I was just trying when I read this, like, where was that in the game? I don't remember. And then I'm like, oh, that's the first area in the game. that's the intro to fucking KOTOR 2. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. You meet the very ashy guy. He's just like, that guy is cool, man. He's really cool. He's like, he holds himself together with the Force. That's his whole thing. Like, he's like in pieces, but like he holds his body together with the Force because he's fucking awesome and refuses to die. Yeah, he's pretty scary. And there's like invisible Sith that like pop out at you and shit. Like that shit's pretty cool. It's pretty good. It's
nice.
Pretty good.
And Casey's number 1 is Castlevania. What else could it be? Literally every monster and mythical creature in public domain resides in the castle with Dracula and death waiting for you at the end of it. No other haunted house can compete with this. It's a very good point.
Does make a good point.
Yeah. And also, like, the werewolf economy is really strong in that particular game.
Very true. Prices are up in that particular game. I mean, those were the good old days. That's what the right is trying to get us back to, the Castlevania days,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The conservative werewolf government, as we all are very familiar with.
Werewolf world order.
Make Dracula's castle great again.
Indeed. Are we on Twitter now, or was there another entry?
No, there's one last one. Do you want me to grab it on Pixelbit? We got a last minute entry.
Yeah, if you don't mind. I don't have it in my notes.
Okay, this one comes to us from Xrian, who says, hope I'm not too late. Canehurst Castle from Bloodborne. Not necessarily scary, but it sure as hell looks haunted and has dangerous creatures roaming around. This level has been described as 3D Castlevania done right, and I agree. And I think that fits, like, also, as Rob said, like, Bloodborne's got all of the, like, Lovecraftian stuff in it. And it is really compared to the Castlevania series, which, as we just established, is like the ultimate haunted house.
Indeed.
So. Next up, Silent Hill. It's more than a house, but there's bound to be some crazy ass scary house. There's bound to be some crazy ass scary house there. I love going to Silent Hill. And all I'll say to that is that the extra one that I had was actually, there is a particular side quest in Silent Hill Downpour that is straight up a haunted house. Yeah. And it was like my favorite part of that game.
Totally. I agree.
the rest of it is garbage, but like that particular side quest was really dang good.
Yeah. I wish they made the whole goddamn game out of that side quest.
Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm. That and the theater, the movie theater stuff was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty cool too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could have been better though. God, it could have been better. That theater.
It 100% could have been better.
It could have been better. I remember watching it, I was like, God, that has so much potential. Oh. Mm-hmm. They just don't. They miss it.
And X-Ring has one more. Himuro Mansion from Fatal Frame. This is my favorite haunted house in gaming. Granted, I haven't tried the 2 other sequels, but I own them all. I played this one, and it was really freaky. Running around with a camera and having to stare those ghosts in the face is terrifying.
Fuck. I completely forgot about Fatal Frame.
I actually thought you would have picked Fatal Frame.
That's a great... Oh, man, that's a good pick.
Yeah. I'm glad somebody brought it up, because...
Yeah. That game, all of those games are terrifying. All of the Fatal Frame games are scary as hell.
Yeah. Ooh. By sheer fact that, like, in order to actually kill the enemies, you've got to let them get as close as possible, which makes it far more terrifying. Also, Siren. Siren I would put up there.
Siren's really good, too. What, who proposed Fatal Frame? Who was that?
That was X-Rian.
Well, X-Rian's got good taste.
He does.
He does have good taste.
Yes.
Hell of a guy. All right. Now we're over on Twitter, right?
Correct.
Okay. Who is our first one? Xavier Krieger? Am I right?
Yes, that's what I show.
Okay. All right. Great. Fantastic. Xavier Krieger is our first person who is on Twitter.com, and you can say things to us on Twitter.com too, on places. What am I trying to say here? He's at Cadus Bane on Twitter if you want to talk to him personally. Now, I'm trying to find where his stage select starts. That's why I'm stalling for time. I believe it starts here. And he says, I have 2 favorite haunted houses, although both are technically mansions. The first one is Fatal Frame. The entirety of this game still spooks the hell out of me. Wandering around the mansion left my hands sweaty, and the binding ritual itself is something that still messes with my head. My other one is Luigi's Mansion. It does a great job at giving the mansion itself a personality to explore, and I love finding the ghosts and the great personalities they all have. Plus, wandering the mansion with him, whistling the music, and calling out for Mario has stuck with me for years.
Mario! Yeah, that's just such an adorable part of that game. I love it so much.
It is pretty cute. Cute.
We actually, and it's going to get some more love here, because next up we have our buddy Jeffka, who's on Twitter at Jestoff, and he says there's only one right answer: Luigi's Mansion. The mansion itself has a superb layout and excellently executed design, as well as a host of secrets and goodies. Likewise, the ghosts in the mansion are just so dang memorable, and many have genuinely creepy backstories. For instance, the baby Chauncey is just a stillborn or miscarriage. Mr. Luggs literally ate himself to death, and one of the ghosts, Soupy, is a child who died in their sleep. Damn, Nintendo! The game is relatively short, though, only a couple of hours, but its replayability is higher than Luigi's Shrieks. I do remember that baby boss. I think that's about where I think I beat him, and then I kind of got bored. But I do remember that boss.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
After that, we have our old friend, Blaine Faya. He is at Blaine Faya on Twitter.com, which is the place that you can say things to people. I don't think I need to explain Twitter.com, but I'll keep doing it because I like to. And he says this. He says, do you remember back in the day when you would only get like one game a year, and good or not, you were stuck with it? Well, I do. And one time that game happened to be Echo the Dolphin. This game is like a haunted house for me, because like a haunted house, every time my younger brother would reach a new area, I was so scared that something was just going to jump out and make me poop myself that I could hardly watch. And yes, I said watch my younger brother, because there was no way in hell I was playing a game set in the ocean where freaking sharks live. Nope. This game remains one of the spookier games for old Blano, and like a real haunted house, no way will this game ever be a part of my life again. He has a real deep fear of sharks. I remember that. I feel for him.
I have a fear of dolphins.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of dolphins. I just think they're assholes.
Yeah, I forgot.
I stand firm that dolphins are fucking the assholes of the sea, and I cannot be convinced otherwise. It's not a fear. I fear no dolphin. I'll punch a dolphin right in his fucking mouth if he shows his face around here. But, I have no respect for them.
Dolphins bully other species. That's like a known thing. So you have every right to hate dolphins.
Yeah, I know.
Dolphin is a scary game. I remember I had Echo the Dolphin, and I played the shit out of that when I was a kid. But it is very scary, and it's remarkably dark for a game about an echolocating dolphin.
Yeah.
It's like an alien invasion story, and the whole thing is averted by a dolphin. So it is dark, and it is creepy, and it has that whole thing, and it reminds me of Jaws 4, which is a shitty game, but it reminds me of the idea of like when you're plunged into the water and you're going deeper and deeper and deeper, it's like you have no idea what's down there. And it's like it gives you that unease of really being in the ocean, which I don't do, even though I live on an island. That unease is very palpable in Echo the Dolphin. That's a good pick. That's a sneaky good pick. I get that same anxiety going into the water in a video game, in every single video game where you can go into the water, being worried about what the hell is down there. Like, what have the developers hidden in there? Especially in a game like in Fallout is a good example.
Oh, yeah.
Or in Grand Theft Auto, anything that could be down there will freak me out. That's a really strong pick.
Yeah, I talked about that in like one of our very first Halloween Havoc episodes about just like that fear of things in the deep, and the eel in Mario 64 is like a prime example where it's like I don't like that thing. It's not okay. I don't like when it comes out at me from the dark.
Yeah, and you remember the sequence in Silent Hill 2 with the hands coming out of the water as he's rowing to the hotel, the ghost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gee, Christ, what a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, next up on Twitter, we have the return of John Marinkovic, who is on Twitter at John Marinkovic, and he's got a preamble here, so we got to get into this with this beef. He says, so you ever do something super stupid? Well, let me tell you about a stupid thing that I did recently. I typed out a whole long thing about how Blaine was a chump that pandered to the judges in episode 185, and how I would respect the decision and get him a case of beer. Don't get me wrong, I'm petty as shit, so Blaine was getting a case of Miller Lite. He doesn't like Miller Lite. But then I went and completely forgot to hit send on my message. Seriously, who does that? That's some seriously absent-minded shit right there. I certainly felt the fool. Don't worry, though, y'all can't scare me off. But since I didn't participate last week, I will abide by the judge's decision by getting Blaine a case of beer that he actually likes for Bro Weekend now. And then he said, and I'm glad we didn't scare him off, or piss him off with the thing. I'm glad that it was just he just forgot to send the message.
It does make me feel better because we were hard on his picks. I'm not gonna lie.
I was legit getting a little anxious about it. Like if he had not submitted something this episode, I was gonna message Blaine and say hey, is your friend okay? Did he drop the show because we were assholes? Because that's not what we wanted.
Well, to be fair, he asked us to judge him, so we had to judge him. It happens.
This is true. But his stage select, he says, for this week's stage select, there is something that you need to know about me. I hate the horror genre. I saw the movie Jeepers Creepers when I was in 5th grade, and apparently that was too young for me to see that movie because I have never fully recovered from that traumatic experience. I think that the closest I have come to a haunted house in video games has been Hubris Comics in Fallout 4. God damn. The first time I played through that location, I was lulled into a false sense of security by killing all of the ghouls in that first room. I come out of stealth to loot the place, and before anybody starts thinking, hey, you should have just stayed in stealth to loot that first floor, I know I could have stayed in stealth to loot, but I didn't want the looting to take longer than it needed to, so I got out of stealth to loot. Well, while I was looting, all of a sudden the combat music started back up, and I about jumped out of my skin when I got attacked by another round of feral ghouls. After I peeled myself off the ceiling and revived at the last checkpoint, I didn't go back to Hubris Comics for a long, long time. I think I was level 50 before I went back there and killed everything with mini nukes out of spite.
That sounds right. I remember Hubris Comics very well because, I think I know exactly what he's talking. I keep thinking, if you pick up the key item there, more of them spawn in or something like that. Ghouls suck, man. I that's why I always try to mod them out, because they crawl. If you watch, if you click VATS at the right time, you'll watch where they spawn, and they crawl out of like weird cracks and shit, like, and that's why you don't see them. And like they do that a lot in Fallout, where like you pick up the key item and then all of a sudden from behind all these ghouls are spawning in behind you. It is creepy. They freak me the fuck out. So I get it.
Even when I go into a room and they're just laying there, I'm like, fuck that, and I blow.
Oh yeah,
they're dead or not. I'm playing that game.
Yep, you double tap every time. Got to do it. Yep.
Hubris Comics is a good pick.
Yeah, I think so too. There's a surprising amount of Fallout 4 this episode, and I'm into it.
I'm genuinely surprised.
I'm into it. Let's see. Who is next? Not him. He's not next. Next up on Twitter, we have Mike Fallick.
Yes, friend of the show.
Friend of the show, indeed. Friend of the world, probably, maybe. I don't know. He says this for his stage select. He says, Aperture Science. It is a place controlled by a dead person's mind. I don't know how much more of a haunted house you can find. Fight me, Rob. P.S. Fight me is a joke. Rob and I are internet friends / colleagues because of the show. Julian and Justin, you are magic friendship machines, and I want you to read this parenthetical on air so more people will tell you how much they love the show. And my girlfriend will confirm that the fact that I literally never shut up about you two, despite me only knowing a quarter of the games you play. An interesting ramble there. I'm into it.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. That made my heart feel good.
It does. Thank you very much, Mike.
He is such like a sweet, nice guy.
He is
really crazy. Like when you watch his videos or you listen to his podcast, that motherfucker is a bulldog. But he is a genuinely nice, supportive dude. And I'm going to reverse my stance in our Twitter discourse and agree with him that yes, Portal counts.
All right.
Yeah, I had forgotten that like GLaDOS is technically like, you know, the mind of a dead person. Mm-hmm. So and there's also the weird shit going on with like the Rat Man and just like the weird like, you know, creepy dark vibe of Aperture Science as you get deeper into the testing phase and stuff like that. Like, you know, the subversion that game does like partway through is just really cool and still one of my favorite things of the last, you know, generation or so.
It's good. I'm just glad that there's peace among on the internet now. You know,
Me too.
Finally, we've really, you know, built the bridge here on Nerds Without Pants.
When I saw that exchange between Rob and Mike, and like Rob was like, "No, that doesn't count. Like it's not like, you know, paranormal or anything like that." I was the embodiment of that meme with like the little like Muppet character where he like looks kind of to the right and then kind of looks back. I was like, oh no.
Here's a weird statement. The best video game in the past 20 years of video games is Portal. Or Portal 2.
I could see that. I could see an argument for that. At least being in the top, you know, whatever top 10 at least for me, or you know,
it wouldn't be my top, but I would say from sheer design,
yeah,
I might say yes.
I think that's what I think he means, and I would say yeah. That's where I would come from. Like,
yeah,
it wouldn't be for me either. But like at the same time, like if we were in a big panel deciding this thing, and somebody was like, Portal has to be on here, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like that totally makes sense.
And just think about like the way that like, because before Portal, they didn't really do a good job in level design and camera work of like letting you know where you needed to go next without just like putting like a big flashing arrow. And it's so subtle about like where you need to go, and it's brilliant. And now, you know, all games do that.
Well, that was Half-Life, more or less. Half-Life.
Oh, did Half-Life? Well, I didn't really play Half-Life.
I know. Half-Life was the innovator of, hey, go where those lights are. See that, like, green means this is progress, basically. They were, like, the innovators of that. That game was kind of the innovator. And that's, you know, Half-Life, I think they're in the same universe, right? They're Portal? Yeah, they are. So it makes sense, you know, that they have the same game design philosophy. But, you know, puzzle design, like, Portal's just really good. Yeah. You know, I don't know what else to say, really.
All right. Well, that is a stage select.
Well, hold on.
Thank you, Rob.
There's one more. There's one
There
more
is?
on Twitter.
Where?
Yeah, they just came in. You didn't see this?
No.
I'll read it then. It's from our old friend Matt Jorgensen, who's at Metal Matt Returns on Twitter. He says, I might be too late, but if I'm not, my favorite haunted houses are the Hell House from Final Fantasy VII, the Spencer Mansion from Resident Evil, and I don't know, the house I grew up in or whatever.
Okay. I want more context about the house you grew up in, Matt.
This literally came in almost like 10 minutes after we started recording, so he was at the buzzer. Like there was 0.1 seconds left when he got the shot off. So good job, Matt. You got in there.
Good job. Yes. All right. Well, that is a stage select.
That is a stage select.
And thank you very much, Rob. That was a fun one. And it means that it is my turn for the next stage select. And Rob, you're actually going to enjoy this one. And it's kind of funny that it came up already. But Justin, we're going to do something a little bit different for the next stage select. Something that we've done. And actually, it was a little over a year ago. It was actually your second episode as a regular host. Back then, in episode 151, you and I got together and brainstormed Final Fantasy 16. Which actually, people should go back and listen to that now that we've actually got the Final Fantasy 16 trailer reveal. But for next episode, Justin, I want us to get together and brainstorm the next Mass Effect game. Because it's been on my mind for various reasons lately.
Yeah.
So this one, like last time I had broke it into 6 categories, but a couple of them didn't really fit with Mass Effect. So we only have 4. So I'm going to let you choose 2 of them from this list. Okay, so I have story, game mechanics, presentation, which is like, that's graphics, style, how, all that stuff.
Okay.
And characters.
Why do I have to choose?
Because I'm nice.
I'm scared. I don't want. I am better working off of necessity. Okay, listen. I feel like if you do story, you have to do characters too.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, but it's so. To me, that's like so integral to both. And I feel like that's hogging all the cool stuff if I pick both of them. Oh, it's so hard. Oh, man.
Honestly, because I'm more of the graphics, horror, and gameplay guy, like, I do not mind taking mechanics and presentation.
Okay. I guess I'll do story and characters. I will try my goddamnedest. All right, I'm glad I've been training for this for years, definitely not this past week. So, okay, that sounds good.
And then for listeners, just let us know what you would like to see in a new Mass Effect game. And if you don't like Mass Effect games, what could they do to make you want to play a Mass Effect game? Angelo?
Oh. I want to be a part of that. God damn it.
You can submit. It's always open to you.
That's true. I'll text you is that okay if I text you my story thing?
Yes, I will not forget this time.
For clarification, before we move off of this, is it a sequel to the current Mass Effects, or are we doing like whatever?
We're making a new Mass Effect game.
New Mass Effect. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
especially considering that like EA has said that they're not continuing the Andromeda story if when and if they come back to Mass Effect.
Yeah.
So we've got a clean slate.
Okay. Right.
And also, the thing that I love about Mass Effect is that it's an entirely like realized sci-fi universe. So just like Star Wars or Star Trek, you can do whatever, wherever, whenever.
Very true.
That's the great thing about Mass Effect.
Very true. Okay. All right.
And we will want those submissions by Rob shaking his head no.
No, I'm not in like a negative way. It's just I've got something cooking here. And
okay.
It's like fuck. It to you really bad.
All right, and we will want those entries by 8:30 Central Time on October the 30th. As always, you can head on over to pixelbit.com and comment in the show thread for episode 187. You can DM us on Twitter at NWPcast, or you can hit us up on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdswithoutpantspodcast. But that's it for the stage select. So it's time to hop on into Consumption Junction. And Rob, obviously I want to start with you because you are our guest and you haven't been on for a while, but I wanted to actually take the time to talk about the book for a bit because I didn't want to put it at the end for like plugs. We'll do that again there, but like, you know, it's kind of shitty when like you have somebody on that has something and it's like you don't even mention it until like the very end of the podcast when sometimes people tune out. Now I will say that I've only had a chance to read the first story in the book, and I was very flattered because Rob actually got a pull quote for me for the book, so I'm actually like in the book, which it was like, oh, it was really neat to see. I've got a quote for you for your next one, which is that, and like this comes like from the heart. Knowing your deep love of film, and especially horror film, it's really amazing how you are able to translate that to the page, because every paragraph and every page in your stories feels like it's being put onto a screen to me. It's like a very evocative, like very, it's like I am watching like this like movie that Rob created, but it's in book form, but I'm seeing it as I'm reading it. And I think that's a really cool thing. And it really, you know, knowing what I've known about you for so many years, it just kind of melds. And also video games for sure, but definitely the film aspect of it. It's just like, it's just so present in like every little bit of what you write.
Thank you. Thank you so much, man. That really means a lot.
Yeah. I really dug the first story. I'm looking forward to finishing the book, but that was a very strong intro.
There's one in there that's very much about video games, and actually it's about a game that I don't want to spoil which one it is, but it's a game we talked about tonight, and Justin will probably like this story as well.
Nice.
So even though it is a horror story, it does talk about a game that we have absolutely 1,000,000% touched upon tonight. And
nice.
So I actually wanted to tell you, Julian, I have a character that I named after you in a short story that might be appearing in an anthology coming out soonish.
Aww.
So I named him Julian after you. So,
thank you.
You know, things don't always end well for the characters in my stories, but I just wanted to give you like a little bit of love, and I love your name, and I have loved your name forever. So I wanted to put that in there. So I just wanted to let you know. I figured I would use today to tell you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's really awesome to hear.
That's cool.
It was really, like I said, you know, I was kind of like messing with you at the beginning, but it was kind of surreal listening to you on these other like podcasts, because it was like, oh shit, Rob's like a writer now, you know, like, because the last book, it was like, oh, cool, like you put out a book, you know, like that's really neat. And now it's like, oh, this is like a thing, like this, you know.
It's the weirdest thing with, has been because of the first book, and I've made connections in the Horror Writers Association and stuff like that. And I've become friendly with a lot of other horror writers. Doors have opened that I never thought I would have the opportunity to do. And a lot of those podcasts are exactly that. Like I just did one the other day that I was like, I listened to it. I made a point with like the marketing or whatever you want to say, or like the promotion phase of the book, because everything is going through me. Like I'm doing, like I have to, you know, I'm organizing everything, et cetera, et cetera. And I only wanted to do podcasts that I actually listen to and enjoy. Mm-hmm. So that was my goal, because there's always, you know, there's other shows and stuff or whatever, but like, I don't know. I don't listen to those. You know what I mean? So like, I frame of reference for the podcast that I wanted to do. Right. And you guys were awesome enough to have me back. And this is a podcast that I listen to. It's perfect because I have a nice long commute to and from work every day, so I can get through an episode in one day. It's beautiful. Nice. So like, no, it's awesome. I love it. I was in traffic for an hour and a half today. It was so great. I loved it. That's been like the weirdest thing. So talking to all these people on these other podcasts and stuff has been really weird. The weirdest thing was like getting a phone call from Barnes & Noble. That was super weird.
Yeah, seeing pictures of you like doing a Barnes & Noble signing, I was like, whoa. And the other thing, and I got to say this for the listeners, I commented on the picture on Facebook, but Rob had photos done, like author type photos, and there was this one of him like in the woods, and I will be damned if he is not just fucking like Alan Wake. He's like, look at me, I am Alan Wake. Very coy. Like, I know what you're doing there, Rob.
I feel seen, and I'm glad, because that absolutely 1,000% was what I was going for. So like, you know, you see other people's like author photos and stuff, and usually it's a headshot, and that's kind of boring to me to do just like a headshot, like, oh hi, like it's not interesting. So I said to my girlfriend's my official photographer, and she was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, here, let's look at some references or whatever. And I pulled up Alan Wake was the first one. And I'm like, this is a great game, first of all. And it's about an author, and there's like a lot of Twin Peaks in here, which is really cool. And I actually got her interested in watching me play Alan Wake at some point. So that's going to be fun. But so that was a reference. And then I was like, and let's watch PT. And at the very end, when Norman Reedus turns over his shoulder, I was like, holy shit. Alan Wake and PT, like if we could somehow find a balance between that for my stupid author picture, that would be And we just went to the park over by where I am, and it's a beautiful park. I'm lucky to have it here. So that was that was silly, but I'm so glad you said that.
That's awesome.
Like the instant I saw it, I was like, I know exactly what's going on here. And let me be clear, it's fucking awesome. Like I don't know if I made that point.
Oh, hey, I'm glad you think so. That's all I care about. We actually thought at first, I was like, well, why don't we go to Centralia, Pennsylvania, where it's all misty and creepy and it looks like Silent Hill because of the smoke coming out of the ground. Why don't we go there and take the picture? And I was just like, am I really going to make this girl drive with me 2 hours to a place that we'll probably get kicked out of 5 minutes into being there? You know, is this like we could fall through the ground and burn up? Like, is this worth it? And the answer is yes, but I didn't want to make her do that day. So eventually, I think my next author photo, I'm going to try to convince her to let me go to Centralia and take it there.
Nice.
Which is cool.
Yeah. We're talking about moving to Pennsylvania anyway, so it's like maybe that's close to where we are. I really don't know where Centralia, Pennsylvania is, but I'm dying to go there. But thank you.
Yeah. And did you want to talk a little bit more about the book before we get into geekier stuff?
Sure. Yeah. So like, I'm glad you like the novella. That's probably the thing I'm most proud of in the collection. Actually, I was writing that for an anthology that's actually like getting ready to come out, and it looks really good. There's a lot of really awesome authors in there, and I'm friendly with a couple of them, and I'm really jealous that they're in there because it just looks so cool. But I started writing it for that, and then I just kept going and going and going and going and going. And I was like, they're not going to take an 80-page short story. That's never going to happen. So I was like, what am I going to do with this thing? So then I was like, oh, okay, I'll build everything around that. And because that was about sort of like the fear of the economy and stuff like that, I was like, okay, well, that's the thing I'm very much fearful of, because at the time when I wrote it, I was like, I started writing it like literally right before the first book came out, right around that time. So I was really stressed out at the time. I was teaching at a school that I wasn't. It's not that like the kids are great, but like the leadership of the school was not spectacular. Kids were amazing. Every day was a lot of fun. Middle school, awesome kids. But I was working really hard, and they weren't paying me what I should have been getting paid. So I was feeling economic stress a lot because of that. And then a lot of the stories, actually, I wrote in the teacher's lounge at that school. Like, I would say like maybe 60% of them. And just because I had a lot of downtime for whatever reason. And I was just feeling a lot of fears and stress and stuff like that. And then right around, this was probably January or February, I finished it. So I wrote it from like October, November, December, January, February. So about 4 months it took to write the whole thing. And then I had started at a new school that was the polar opposite of the school I was at. Like, it's just an amazing experience. The school that I'm at now, I love that. I love my boss. I love everything about it. It's just really great. And literally the total opposite. So like I don't have, writing all those stressors and fears and stuff in the collection helped get rid of a lot of them. And so now when I look at them, I'm like, oh, that's what this one's about. That's what this one's about. And I'm just like, And I talked about it with my shrink. I was like, I don't really feel those kinds of fears anymore. There's only one fear that I still have, which you and I have talked about, Julie. The flying scares the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff. But like that's really the only fear that I have now because I put everything into the book. And one of the fears that I didn't even realize I was actually talking about in that novella, and I feel stupid for not realizing that I was talking about it the whole time, but other people who've read it and talked about it, is like the fear of missing out. And like that's a big undercurrent of that first novella. And I don't know what I was thinking, like why I wasn't conscious of putting that in there. But
that was a very big part of Shoshana that I could really resonate with, was like, oh yeah, you kind of skipped your 20s too.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed it. I skipped a good portion of my 20s also, so like it sucks. But I really liked her character. Writing her was a lot of fun because she was so different she was very different than myself and very different than the Royce character in that novella too, which was a lot of fun. Royce is actually one of my favorite characters that I've written as well. She's not a character. I did an interview thing where they asked like, which one of your characters would you most not want to run into? And I was like, what? The character in her Infernal Name in the novella. Like I would not want to run into her at any point ever. just because she's like a teenager, and I find teenagers to be like, even though I work with teenagers are just a little much for me sometimes. So there's that level, and then there's also the creepy level of what she embodies that adds to it as well.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a cool question. I'd never been asked that before, so I was like, that's neat. But yeah, so in putting these together, there's one story in the collection that I wrote, and I thought about putting into the last one at the very last minute, but then I decided not to. And that ended up in this one. So all of the things I think this book it's certainly longer than the first one. But I'm looking off to the side because I have a couple copies on my bookshelf there. And it's also just, it's darker, I think, also than the first one. That's kind of some of the feedback I've gotten from people, that it's a lot darker. And it's the weirdest thing that I hear is like, oh, these are the authors that he's reminding me of, or these are the authors that his work is like. And I never thought about that ever, not a single.
Uh-huh.
I was just like, I'm just writing these. I don't know. Like I have horror authors and regular authors and stuff that I like. And in my head, I always feel like I'm doing an impression of Bret Easton Ellis, but he writes first person and I hate first person. So that's like the biggest difference. Even though I'm working on a revision of a novel now that's first person. But like to hear people saying like, oh, this reminds me of this author or this author, I was like, damn, okay, that's cool. I'm fine with all of these. Complaints about anything that's happening here.
Well, again, it's just because, you're such a like sponge of horror in general. So it's like, it doesn't surprise me that, they're like different people are getting different senses of different flavors of this and that, because you've just ingested so much of it over the, the years that, and, you can't not, have some of that bleed into your work, because that's just, that's how people create. You kind of internalize the stuff that inspires you and then, refract it into something new.
That's the perfect way to put that. Yeah, and I'm trying to read more horror authors specifically from like a wider spectrum. So I'm looking at a lot of different people with different ethnic backgrounds and different racial backgrounds and stuff, because I want to see how everybody does everything. There's an author I really, 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 really admire that I just got his new book. He actually has 2 books out now that are sort of new. And this one's like a little novella, so I just picked that up, and I'm super excited to read that, and he is Blackfoot Indian, Blackfoot Native. I'm super stoked to see his approach to horror. He's just, I admire him because he's been doing this for a long time, and he's a really cool guy, or at least he seems like a really cool guy. I've never talked to him or anything, but everybody talks about him like, oh, he's so nice, he's such a good person. So I'm like, wow, I really want to see how this guy does horror, because every interview that I've read or heard of him, he's just like perfectly nice, normal dude. And that's kind of what I've been finding too in the horror community, is that everybody likes to support each other. It's not like that in some other writing communities. The romance writers had just had a huge implosion, which is weird. Like they like cannibalized themselves. I don't know what happened there, but that was like big news in the different writing worlds. But yeah, the horror writing community, from what I found, is just ultra supportive and really lovely people. I've yet to really run into one that I'm like, I don't like this person at all. I will actively avoid them.
Right.
But it's just really nice. Like, it's a cool community to be in.
Yeah, and I'm really pleased for you and really proud of you.
Thank you, man.
One of these days, I will get around to writing my erotic fantasy sword and sorcery novel. One of these days, it'll happen. It's not gonna happen.
That stuff sells big time too. Like that's a big market. There's a lot that could be played with there. I have
because I've always wanted like a fantasy book that, you know, is like high, like the really cool fantasy, like from like that I grew up on, like from video games and stuff, with like, you know, we're not going to beat around the bush about magic. Magic is like a big deal. Like, we're throwing fireballs and, you know, like bringing like lightning storms from the heavens and shit. So there's that aspect of that I'm not being served by in books. And then I was also looking for like some really good smut in books, and I wasn't being served by that. And I was like, what if you combined the two and just I could just like have both in one nice neat little package?
Do it. Just do it. Why not? You know, what do you have to lose? That's the whole thing, right? Like, what do you have to lose? Just put pen to paper.
Yeah.
It's finding the time. That's always the problem.
Yeah.
You know, I was listening to a great interview with he's the head of the Horror Writers Association. His name is John Palisano. Nice guy. I've had limited interaction with him, but it's perfectly nice. He had a great quote. Like, you know, before coronavirus, obviously, he'd be at like a bar with friends, and people would find out that he's a horror writer, and they'd come over and be like, hey, man, I got a story for you, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, he said on the show, he's like, yeah, I'm always like nice to everybody when they find out I write horror and stuff. But like, you know, it's not that I don't have ideas. I don't have the time for all of the ideas.
Right.
And that's the biggest issue. Like, that's what's, you know, if you want to take time to write your erotic fantasy epic, finding the time to do that is tough. You know, you work
Yep.
like a very stringent job. You edit the podcast, you host the podcast. Like, it's a lot, you know, you're doing a lot. It's really hard to find that time. And that's something I've been struggling with lately too, is like, I should be writing and editing more pages of this second rewrite. But I'm not, because I'm in 2 master's programs. I'm learning French, and I'm working random ass Wednesday nights teaching a class, and you know, I'm teaching my normal teaching schedule, and I teach on Saturdays too. So like, you know, I don't have a lot of time to do stuff. My French class is so much harder than my master's level coursework. It's ridiculous. I don't understand why that is. French is an awful language. Very and I don't know why.
I've heard things, yeah.
It's like it's obnoxious. It's a beautiful language, and it's wonderful to listen to, and I could sort of understand a little bit when people speak, but we just got up to like telling time in French, and I'm like, I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. It's like, oh, je m'appelle Robert. Like, if you're gonna ask me that, I'm good. I got nothing else for you. But but it's tough. It's, you know, I was really lucky. Yeah, really lucky. Jesus, that sounds awful. But like, when everything closed down in March, our school schedule was still in flux. Like, we didn't know exactly what was going to be happening. So I had a couple weeks where I settled into a routine of a half an hour every morning because I had nothing to do. So I had an hour every morning. And I was like, brrr, and most of the time I would go longer than a half an hour. Most of the time I would go like 2 hours, but I wanted to guarantee myself at least a half an hour. Now that school has started up again and we're in the school every day, I've lost that guaranteed half hour of writing, which a half an hour of writing for me, that's like 6 pages. So I was able to put together from March to June, I was able to bang out 200 pages of a young adult horror science fiction novel.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you. I'm like, Jesus. But,
and that's the money maker. That's the one where Rob's going to sell the movie rights, and then we're never going to hear from him again.
That's not true. I hope, like, that is supposed to be the thing that it's meant to be the first in a trilogy, and it's important to me because my lead character has a mild form of autism, and I think that's a very underrepresented community in literature. So it's important to me because I've worked with some students who have either, a mild form of autism or they have something else. There is a term for it, and I don't mean to I'm not trying to offend anybody. I can't remember what the term is. There's like a new term that people are using to describe people who have autism, and I don't remember what it is. And I'm a teacher, and I should know, and I feel bad, but whatever. So it's important for me that is a thing that I do get published one way or the other, because I named, my niece does not have autism, but I named the character after her. So it's meant to be a gift to her, and it's also meant to be a gift to kids who do have this issue that they might feel bad about, which they should not, because people who are autistic, their minds work in vastly superior ways to us normal, boring, everyday people. So, and that's kind of the important thing that I wanted to show with this character. She's a lot of fun to write. She's a teenage girl. I am a grown man, so I was like, how do I write a teenage girl? So I did a little research. I read a couple books that have teenage lead characters and stuff, and those were fantastic. One of them was published by Disney, and it was a nonstop bloodbath. I was like, it's vastly more violent than anything that I've ever put in my horror writing, that's for sure. And I was like, Jesus. I was like, Disney, why don't you calm down a little bit? But so I read that, and I really loved it. And I read The Hunger Games, which was very helpful and very informative. I'm not writing a character like Katniss. Katniss, I feel like, is almost like a Superman. She doesn't make any mistakes, really.
Yeah.
Whereas I want my character informed by the mistakes that she makes, because I think that makes her more realistic.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm in a rewrite on that right now. I've already padded it out another 6 pages, so it's clocking in at about 208 pages. I want to try to add another 50 to it. Just like little descriptive things. It gets real weird. It goes into some like weird lit areas that I'm a little worried might lose some of the kids that it's meant to be for. But I think that for the people who hang with it, for the kids and the students and stuff who hang with it, it's going to open up their literary horizons, I hope, a little bit, because there are some things that I'm playing with that are found in some traditional horror literature that is very popular right now. So I'm sprinkling some of that stuff in, and I'm hoping that kids who might not have read that stuff before maybe will go on to that after they read this.
Yeah.
So, and it's also just, it's fun to write like an action horror science fiction-y type story. Like, I don't really have a lot of fighting in my stories and stuff, and there's some fight sequences in this thing that were a lot of fun to write, and I thought it was going to suck to write them, because, like, how am I ever going to visualize this or whatever? But then I was able to, like, really kind of roll with it, and it was a lot of fun. And the bad guys in it are particularly creepy.
Nice.
Yeah, they creep me out a little bit. There's one in particular who's like the lead bad guy, and the way I see him and the way I describe him, I'm just like, he's gross. I should have said him in that question of who would you least want to run into, because he is rough. He is a guy. Yeah. So I'm very happy with him, and I'm just happy with it altogether. I'm going to be even happier once I'm done with it. And I mean, it's never done, right? But like, once it's at a point where I can move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I've written 30 pages of another YA novel that, like, my heart is so in that one too. And it has another teenage girl. She's a little older than the one that I'm writing now, but has another teenage girl lead character, and she's a person of color. And I'm like, I really want to tell her story so bad. I love her character so much, and I want to use her again and again in other future things. So I'm sort of setting her up to be kind of like a character that I can use whenever the hell I want, going down the line as she gets older and as she ages into the character that I could sort of see her becoming. So I've got 30 pages of that, and I have 8 pages of the thing that Julian, you and I talked about, the She's All That. So I have,
excellent.
Yeah, I have 8 pages of that. And when I pitched that to a writer, this woman, her name is Caridad, and she's super sweet. I pitched that to her, and she went, "Oh." She was like, "How's that going to work?" And I was like, "I guess you'll have to wait and see."
I just got to say real quick for the listeners, Rob and I were talking on the phone, and he was like, "Yeah, I got this idea for this story," and he was kind of, I'm not gonna go into the details, but he was like, "Oh yeah, so there's this one thing, and I'm thinking about this," and I was like, "Yeah, but you don't want to do that. You probably want to do this." And then I said one thing, and he was like, "Fuck." God damn it, that's really good, Julian. Fuck you.
So you know who's going to get an acknowledgments thank you in the beginnings of that one for sure.
Yeah.
But, dude, that was when you put it in that perspective for me, I was like, literally, that's been so like the idea of the one that I wrote 30 pages of. That's like my number one that I'm like, oh, I want to go back to that so bad. But my number 2 is like the one that you and I were talking about, because it's just so. It's something that really hasn't been done. And like you and I were talking about, there's not a character like that really in horror.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was even thinking about crossing her over with the one from the 30 pager at some point and be like, let's go. But I have like this whole weird universe that I'm building in my head. And those 2 characters I could see using a lot.
That's really cool. Yeah, and because like Rob and I have just always like clicked on creative stuff. Like we were actually working on a video game at one point, and like we didn't get very far, but like the actual like brainstorming part of it was like just a very fun, like just like, oh yeah, man, this like we were just like constant back and forth and just really like
nice.
It was a really good, really fun process.
It is fun, and working with you is particularly fun. But yeah, it's so funny you mentioned the video game. Working on the video game, I found those documents the other day in my old Google Drive. So I was like, "Oh my god,
nice!
That's so cool!" And then I got in touch with. You remember I worked on those Decay games?
Yes.
Not so long. I got in touch with the guy who made those. He still works for DICE. He's actually like one of the bigwigs at DICE now, which is really, yeah. So he and I were talking a little bit, and he was like, "Oh, I'm thinking about going back to the Decay series or whatever." Like I put out the last one, and he gave me a code for that, which was really sweet. And he was like, "I was thinking about maybe going back to it. Like, would you be interested?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" Like, hell yeah, I'll do some video game stuff again. That sounds dope.
Yeah.
But working in video games is fun. I imagine like if we were to try to do that idea now, we'd be able to do it so much easier than it used
100%, yeah.
Like, there has to be a listener that you have that plays around with making a side-scroller type game. I mean, there has to be somebody that's listening to the show that could make that a reality. Like, and the idea that we had was quite good.
It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it still, even now, would be something that people would be like, ooh. So, just, I think, if there's anybody listening that knows how to make a really cool 2D side-scrolling platformer, reach out to and we'll talk.
Well, what geeky stuff have you been up to lately, Rob? I know you've been busy, clearly, like you've got a lot on your plate right now, but I'm sure you've had some time for some stuff here and there.
Yeah, I've been playing some games, which I haven't been playing a lot of games. I was playing, and I feel bad, I'm not going to remember the name of it. It's a game where you have a boat, Spiritfarer. That's what it's called.
Oh,
excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we both talked about that not too long ago.
Yeah, I was really digging Spiritfarer for a while because it was scratching my Stardew Valley itch.
Mm-hmm.
It was just really wholesome and sweet. And I've actually found something interesting. I can't play Stardew Valley on a really big high-def TV. I don't like how it looks.
Huh.
I only play it... What are you thinking?
I was going to say, when I played it on my TV, which is like a OLED or whatever, and I never really have played it on like my monitor, and I didn't have much of a problem playing it Stardew Valley on my TV, but like, it might be like a sprite thing. It might be just, how those sprites look. Maybe they need to be a little dirty to look better. I don't know.
I think because like I was used to playing it in our old apartment, my girlfriend and my old apartment, on like little 38-inch plasma, which has a beautiful screen, like the resolution is thick. But then I have like a 55-inch plasma, and I'm like, I fucking hate how it looks on my TV. and it's like, it looks beautiful. It's still a beautiful game. Everything about that game is amazing. I have the track on vinyl, like everything about it I just love, and I just can't play it on a big screen TV. I don't know, like, it's weird. But so I was playing Spiritfarer and I was loving that, and I was playing I started Man of Medan, which I was liking it. I don't know why I haven't finished it. I think I'm about 60% of the way through it, but
it's quite a bit shorter than Until Dawn.
Oh, is it really?
Oh yeah, it's because the idea with that was it was going to, it's an anthology, and so like the second one was supposed to have actually come out way back in February, but it's not coming out until I think October 31st. And you'll like that one, Rob. They're straight up doing Silent Hill. It's called Little Hope. Yeah. Yeah, and so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to diving back into the Dark Pictures anthology.
Yeah, I was digging it a lot. I really was. It was very cool. And I actually, right around the time that I got it, I listened to a podcast that actually told the story, the actual like true mythology of the Medan boat. And I remember being like, oh shit, that's that game. So I got really excited about that. But like I said, I went through Fallout 4 again, which was cool. And I enjoyed it so much more the second time around than I did the first time around. I really see through the Brotherhood in a way that I never really looked at them before. And I realized, like, the only time that they've ever really been good is in 3.
Yeah, you're probably right there. Well, I'm trying to think. They might have been... So I never played through New Vegas. I know Are they in it?
Yeah, they're in it. They're shitty.
Yeah. Are they shitty in that one too? Okay. Yeah. They're okay in 3. Yeah, they suck so hard in fucking 4 though. They suck.
And I had forgotten that money shot moment when the Pridwin flies in after the thing. I was like, yeah, the Brotherhood is here. And then I was like, oh, they're pieces of shit in this game.
Yeah.
I saw them by necessity the first time around.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, like, the story of how they got shitty. Like, when you, like, kind of dig into the backstory, it is, like, an interesting slide into this, like, this is what happened. Like, our leadership, went to this, and this is what we became from, the basically heroes of Fallout 3,
Right. They went from being people who preserve technology to being people who fear it. And that's a bizarre shift.
Indeed,
but
it is.
I have not. I played. A friend of mine convinced me to buy this. I got. I'm looking. The reason I'm looking over here is because it's over here. I got Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Which is awful, but it's fun. It's fun. It's fun to do multiplayer. It's also weirdly, when you choose a female character, they don't make the dialogue adjustments that you would expect them to make. So if you're a male character, you walk into a room, there's these two scientists who are like thirsty for your character, and they're like, "Oh, hey there, tall, dark, and handsome, blah, 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 blah." They say this creepy shit. You walk in there as a female character, they say the same shit. And it just doesn't fit. Like, tall, dark, and handsome, it's like, I have a pale redhead right now. I don't get it. So it's just really, it's not very good. But it is fun to do multiplayer. It's fun to, like, shoot the bad guys. And, there's they have, like, drones that they send after you. Those are a pain in the ass. So that's cool. I went through State of Decay 2 4 times. And I got...
Damn.
Yeah, I beat every map, and I did every single leader that I could, and I really enjoyed that. And I did some multiplayer with some friends. That was a lot of fun. Also, I'm trying to think what else I played. Oh, I was playing Julian. I was texting you. I played a little bit of Final Fantasy, the newer one that is on Game Pass or was on Game Pass.
Oh yeah, 15. You were playing, yeah.
I was way into that, man. I was really feeling it. And I had so many theories that I wanted to bounce off you, and I had, like, so many thoughts about it and feelings. And there was, like, a point where I got emotional during it because it was reminding me of, like, my 20s, like, late 20s, and, like, the boys and all that stuff. I was like, oh. But I was really into that. I was really feeling Final Fantasy 15. I don't know if it's on Game Pass still.
I think it is, because I was looking through my games like the other day just to see what I had installed, and it still said Game Pass on it. Because I own the game, but even though I own it, it'll still say Game Pass while it's available. Yeah. And then when it goes away from Game Pass, like, it'll still let me play it because I own it.
Right. Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. Maybe I'll go back to that. But I was really digging that. I'm looking at my shelf, seeing what else I had. Oh, I started playing this game called The Occupation, which I was really into. It's kind of cool. They give you, like, they set up the level, and you start the level, and you have an hour of real world time to get everything taken care of in the level before the level ends. And whatever you accomplish in that hour is the information that you carry on to the next chapter of the story.
Okay.
So that's really cool. It's like a London, I think it's London, right around the time when they were teetering on the edge of becoming almost like a military state, which, spoilers, they are now. But sort of like right around that. It's a really fascinating game. You play as a reporter in that one. So that one's really cool. I went through Plants vs. Zombies twice, which is always a good go-to. That's comfort food for me.
Yeah.
But I picked up, on Game Pass, I grabbed a lot of different things, and I would turn them on and play them for like a minute and be like, this is not for me. I tried playing that. Yeah. What is it? Not Outer Worlds, Outer Wilds?
Yeah, that was not for me.
Not for me either. I crashed my ship into like an asteroid, and I was like, well, that's it. I couldn't fully entrench myself in that one, but
it's just so fun to have have Game Pass and just be able to like sample stuff just to see. Okay. Oh, and I would like to say real quick, because I wasn't going to bring this up, but that reminded me, Rob. So, I've been kind of wanting to play Destiny 2 because, like, I just kind of wanted to try it. Because I played, like, the demo of Destiny 1, and I played, like, I think a free version of, like, the beginning of Destiny 2. Like, they had, like, a free play weekend one time. And, like, I really love the shooting, and, of course, I love loot stuff. So I was like, yeah, like, Destiny 2 is on Game Pass now, and it's free. Let me go ahead and boot this up, and let me get into it. Now, when you start up Destiny 2... it's the beginning of Destiny 1, and it doesn't tell you really what's going on. Like, you go through the original, like, first level of, like, the tutorial of Destiny 1, and then you go to, like, the space station from Destiny 1, which, spoiler alert, at the beginning of Destiny 2 gets destroyed. So I don't know why this is Destiny 2 content. And then when they set you down on the space station, it's just icons everywhere. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess here's the story thing. So I go to the story thing, and it's literally just, hey, like, go do some stuff and then level your light level up to here. And that's the story progression. I was like, oh man, no. I straight up deleted it right there. And I was like, I don't know what they did to this game, but because the beginning of Destiny 2 was really cool, and I remembered like the music in like the first area was like amazing. And I was like, okay, I really understand why people are into this,
right.
And I was like, one of these days I'll play this game, and I don't know what they did to it, but it is not friendly to new players.
Yeah, I was gonna say my guess is they're catering towards like I imagine at this point, you're not going to try to get new players. I mean, you put it on Game Pass. I mean, maybe you're trying to get some new players, but
yeah,
I'm guessing the new players that they're trying to get are the people that my friend plays a lot of Destiny 2, and I would like to play with my friend the Destiny 2. Those are like maybe the new players you're aiming for, and the people that are like, I want to see what the story is, are like, they don't give a fuck about that no more.
Yeah, well, that's definitely what I got the impression.
That's what it sounds like. Is like they are catering to those people that are in there, at least once a week or whatever, doing the raids and all that stuff. They're catering to that crowd, which, I mean, those are your hardcore fans. I guess I get it, but
yeah, like I straight up, like, the one achievement that I got was for hitting level 20, and it's just because they jump you to level 20, like, when you get past the tutorial, because that's the max level, I think, and then after that, the only thing that matters is your power level.
Yeah,
I was just not into it.
Yeah,
that's like sort of the reason we got because also Ghost Recon Breakpoint was like $9 on Amazon. It's like the worst reviewed game in Ubisoft history, apparently. But
it was pretty bad.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it's not great, but it's some good shooting, and it's got some really. I was playing with a friend of mine, and we're actually going to be playing again towards the end of the month because now we're old men and we have to schedule specific days and times of video games. But we were saying, like, I was playing with my one buddy Mike, and I was like, hey, let's go over to this weird area. And he was like, all right, that's fine. And it had I think it had like an exclamation point, which meant that whatever was there was a higher level than what we were. I was like, fuck, two of us, we could do this. We've been playing video games forever. And we go in there, and it was like this giant, you remember ED-101 or whatever from fucking RoboCop, the giant robot thing? It was like that, but with tank treads. And it was like unloading on us, and I was like, "Do you have a rocket launcher anymore? Like, what's the ETA on you blowing this thing up?" Because he was like the demo guy, and I was like the medic. Like, you blow the thing up? What's the problem? And then eventually, like, we were just getting shredded by this thing over and over and over again. And then finally, we just like chipped away, and finally took it down. So even though it's needlessly difficult, it was still like there was a strong feeling of accomplishment after we killed that. And I was like, and actually, we went back to that same area later on because I was like, let's just see if that thing respawned, and it didn't. So like once it was gone, that was it. They don't like reset the bosses like in what was that one, Far Cry 2, when they reset all of the after you would like conquer an encampment or an outpost or whatever, they would just respawn everybody in there. So yeah, it sucked. And I mean, it was a good game, but that aspect of it sucked. And then they fixed that for all the Far Cries going forward. But, like, that was pretty fun. It's not bad. I'm sure that's what we're going to be playing towards the end of the month when we get together again. But I haven't touched Overwatch since March.
Wow.
I don't know what it is. I feel like I'm never going to get out of platinum, which get good, I guess. But like, I don't have the time to get good. And I haven't been watching Overwatch League as much as I was enjoying it. I haven't watched it, God, since the end of last season, maybe. I watched like one game. So I've really fallen off at that. But like, and even like with horror games specifically, there hasn't been a whole lot that I've been diving into. I've been writing a lot of short stories and stuff. Like, I have enough for a third collection, but I can't do anything with it until 6 months after April of 2021, because that's when all the contracts expire and that's when I get the rights back. So, because they're going to be published, there's a bunch of them that are going to be published in a bunch of different other anthologies. 2 of them are out now, with a couple stories, and then I have 2 other ones that are coming out, and then there's some other ones down the line. There's one story in particular that, like, I literally wrote it was one of those situations where I had like the half hour. I literally wrote this thing in a half hour, and I was like, why not? I'll just submit it. I haven't edited it or anything. Like, we'll just see what happens. And the guy wrote back to me, I'd be stupid if I didn't buy this. So he bought it. And I was like, I'm so happy. But that one's very silly. It's going to be in a collection called Hollywood Holocaust. And the idea was that you use the actors as cannon fodder. And I didn't want to kill any actors because, like, I like movies, so I don't know. But so I had to change their names, but it's basically Ben Affleck and Adam Driver surviving a zombie apocalypse kind of thing in Hollywood together and surviving together. Because I read that they became friendly because they made a movie together and they became friendly. And I was like, what a weird, cute friendship that is. Like, Adam Driver, who's this massive mountain of a monster man, but like he's like the peaceful warrior because he was like a Marine, but he's all into like acting and poetry. I don't know. I find him so interesting.
Pull my heart out through my ear, you meaty oak tree. Impale my brain, you unacceptable monstrosity.
And then Ben Affleck, who has history of being like, I'm a dude bro from Boston, but also quite a brilliant actor and writer and director. Mm-hmm. So it's just weird. And they're both like gigantic mountains of muscle. So like, I was like, who could better survive a zombie apocalypse than these two? So, so I wrote that story. That one was like a lot of fun. And they run into like, cause they're in Hollywood, they run into a bunch of old Hollywood zombies. So like Robert Shaw pops up and Cary Grant and John Wayne. Form. So that one was a lot of fun to write. But so that one's like coming out. I don't know when specifically that one's coming out, but I have a story out that one of my stories closes out a collection that's out right now called Hookman and Friends, and it's all the stories are a riff on the Hookman urban legend.
Uh-huh.
That one was a lot of fun to write too because I wanted to have a I don't know what my deal is. I like having underrepresented voices as my characters.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I'm kind of realizing that now. And actually, that's not totally true because I'm working with a mentor on my novel, and she was like, "Do you notice a trend?" And I was like, "Oh, all right, yeah, you're right, I guess." And like I'm having that revelation again now. But yeah, so I don't know. I guess I just like telling stories from voices that aren't always represented, especially in horror. Because horror, it's always like, here's the white 20-something-year-old girl, like here's the writer, the male writer. Like, a lot of people give Stephen King shit, but like without Stephen King, there really wouldn't be a modern horror genre. So like, I think everybody needs to relax on calling out the master of horror, like the most commercially successful horror, or like the most commercially successful author that's ever lived.
Yeah.
Let's relax a little bit with talking shit about the guy's work. But like he has a lot of white male writer characters, and I've never done that. And I maybe I will at one point. Like, that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know. I always like using underrepresented voices and stuff like that. So I guess, having a character who's autistic, having a girl who's a person of color. I have a story coming out that he's a African American boy struggling with his sexuality, and where that goes. It's probably my favorite story I've ever written, because I really love him like dearly. He's a character that like I want to make sure that you're okay type character. Because I just really love him, and he's going to be in a collection that comes out I think in March or April. So I'm really excited about that one.
Awesome.
Just a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Well, Justin, do you have any stuff?
I got some stuff that I can talk about. I guess I'll start where I left off last week. I finished 13 Sentinels. That was a really good game.
When all is said and done, you still recommend it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It goes some places when it gets it. Man, it's fucking a wild ride. Like that. That is a wild fucking ride of a video game. It is like every science fiction trope ever, and somehow they made it work. I don't know how, but at the end I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, for as many questions as I expected to have at the end of it, I think I maybe had like 2.
Nice.
I'm actually watching like a person play through it again now, just to like pick up on all the little things that I was missing throughout. Like it's that kind of sort. Like now that I know what happens and where it goes, I can pick up all the little bits and details of everything. So it's neat. I do recommend it. The fighting's not the greatest. It got kind of hard towards the end, but like I just at some point was like, I have no shame, and I turned it down to easy just to get through the last 2 battles because I was so into the story. That's all I gave a shit about. So I still like it. That's the end of that. I played a game called Overcrowd, a Commute 'em up, which is a game where you make a subway station. I don't know why I played it. I was really bored. But it reminded me of Roller Coaster Tycoon, like just like the little guys and all that stuff, and like you could tell if they were angry, or like people would come in like, this guy's a ruffian, he's gonna knock people out in your subway station, so you gotta get security guards to go fucking tase him and arrest him and shit. The problem with that game, it's fun, it's really stupid and over the top, but like when things start to go south, like somebody gets the flu and all of a sudden everybody's getting the flu around them, and now your reputation's dropping. Yeah.
Not right now.
Like, well, yeah, that's I mean, I don't really care about any of that, but like I'm not even, on any of that level. I'm just saying, like, when your reputation starts to drop in that game, like it drops fast. Like, and it feels like it just snowballs out of control so quick. Then it's just like, you lost. And it's like, I didn't even know there was a problem. Like, I barely knew there was a problem happening. But everybody hated me.
But to see when there is a problem and you don't do anything about it, that should be the outcome. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, but I wish it is tough. It is a tough game. I
had that game 2 Point Hospital is a lot like that, where if something's wrong, it's a steep decline real fast, hard to recover. I played the shit out of Hospital too.
Like, you'll be going really well. You're like, man, I got, I'm getting people where they need to go. Like, all my traffic's good, everything's good. And then like one thing will happen and you'll fix it, but like still somehow there's still remnants going on somewhere else, and you're dead. And it was just made it really tough to recover from. But that was that game. It was neat. I didn't regret playing. I played for like a day, caught up on some podcasts because the soundtrack was awful. But the big 2 that I played, I guess I'll start with Baldur's Gate 3.
I was wondering if you're going to try that out.
Yeah, it's in early access. That game is, I'm going to steal somebody else's quote here, but like, it was my quote too. Like, when I turned it on, I was like, whoa, this game is early access as fuck. It is very, very buggy. At least for me. The guy I was watching played it on a 3080, and that that shit ran like a fucking dream. Like, I was like, whew,
Sure.
I may need to upgrade my video card pretty soon here, because, I mean, it looks good. Baldur's Gate,
it's a gorgeous game. It looks like like they're aiming for next gen. With that.
It feels like it, too. Like, I want to like this game so much. I really want to like this game. Like, presentation-wise, like, the way it looks, like, it's Larian Studios like level of, you know, game and RPG taken up, like, you know, production value wise, like a lot. But the thing is, so I remember playing like Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2 and like getting to the combat and being like, this is fine. Like, it's you have to think a lot in that combat, but it's very smart and it's very, you know, kind of, it's D&D based, you know, there's die rolls going on, but like it felt balanced. Like, it never felt like I went into an encounter and was like, oh, I am dead here. Like, there's no way I'm going to win this. It always felt like I could outsmart the encounter. And these ones, I'm not sure if they've achieved that balance yet, because like, this is Baldur's Gate. It's going off of Dungeons and Dragons rules. Like,
right.
It is unapologetic. Like, you get into like dialogue with somebody and it shows you the motherfucking die roll on the screen. Like, you better.
Which I dig. Like, I actually really appreciate that.
So here's the thing. I like that. I think it's great. I'm not sure if that works well for video games, though. I remember last time, and it's kind of funny because it's been a year since Rob's been on the show, and the last time I was on, I played Disco Elysium. And I remember talking about that game and going, man, every time I fail a die roll on this game, it's something insane happens, and it's great. And it goes, you know, in this completely new and cool direction, you know, and then I have to figure out a different way to solve the problem. In this game, when I fail a die roll, I'm like, fucked. Like, like you can, like, I'm trying to talk my way out of an encounter, and like all of a sudden, like, my charisma, like, I put all these points into this charisma stat or whatever, that this die roll that I have to check. Like, I'm the wisest motherfucker. I got to pass this wisdom check, and it's like a 5, and I roll a 4. Guess I'm fucked. Guess I need to fight this impossible battle now, and that's like. So that's why, like, you know, people will always, like, kind of bring up, like, Fallout or, you know, like Elder Scrolls games, like the Bethesda RPGs for, like, oh, it's just a speech check. You know, you have to have your stat and speech a certain, you know, number or whatever, and you pass that check. And that works perfectly fine for video games. And this one, like, it almost feels like I'm putting points into a thing, but why the fuck am I putting points into that thing? Because, like, I can just fail the die roll. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that, because like one of the videos that I watched, I've been watching a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 videos because I am really interested in it. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to mess with it until like it comes out on consoles, which will be, I mean, the PC one isn't supposed to hit 1.0 until at least a year from now.
Yeah.
But one of the videos that I was watching said that they really liked the outcomes of failures in the dice rolls, because it did, you know, like it didn't, they felt that like it actually let them do like see different elements of the game that they wouldn't have normally, and they stopped doing the save scumming thing. And so that's really interesting to hear a different take on that whole thing.
So sometimes, yes, sometimes I will agree with them. There are places in the game where I filled the die roll and I was like, oh, that's really cool that played out a different way. Right off in the beginning of the game, like opening of the game, there's like a thing, you walk up to this guy, you're in a mind flayer ship or whatever, and you walk up to this guy and his fucking, the top of his head's cut off and his brain's hanging there, and you can hear the brain talking to you, and you walk up and you start having basically a conversation with a brain, and then a lot of like there's die rolls and stuff if you want to like. And there's a way to like get the brain to like actually become a party member and shit. And like that shit's cool. But and there's also, you can just kill it right in the thing. Like, nope, I'm not dealing with it. And there's also another thing where like you fail the die roll when you're trying to get it out or trying to like cripple it or whatever, and it turns on you and you have to fight it. So it's interesting. There are times where it works really well and it's cool, and there are times where I'm like, well, I just got fucked.
Right.
And I'm waiting for that balance. There was like, so for example, and this is a cool thing to do, right? so there's another scenario where, you know, the ship, things happen with it. And now the Mind Flayer, he's not so looking so good, but he's controlled these 3 guys, right? And they're fighting you because they think they're digging up this guy's sister or whatever, or his daughter. So they're fighting you, but they're just controlled by this thing that's controlling their minds. So if you kill the Mind Flayer, they're instantly better again. But if you don't kill the Mind Flayer and you kill one of their guys, they snap out of it. And they go, "Oh shit! Why did you kill him? We didn't know that was gonna happen. What the hell? We're just regular dudes. What the fuck?" and then all of a sudden you walk over to the Mind Flayer that's still alive and you're talking to him, and it's like, okay, you need to kill this thing, but the parasite in your brain is telling you can't kill this thing, right? So you have to actively keep passing die rolls to to be able to kill the thing while it's weakened on the ground. If you don't, the Mind Flayer, you give the Mind Flayer a kiss because that's what and that doesn't go well, and it instantly kills one of your party members, and that thing's like level fucking whatever and just rises up and party wipes you, and it's like, well, I didn't save for like an hour, so fuck me, I guess. You know, like, that's a cool thing to have happen, but at the same time, I'm real fucked now. You know, it
seems like maybe a balancing issue that they're gonna have to tweak over time. Because I know Vinny on the Beastcast was talking about how like he would see like the AI would be such where like if a character went down, like the enemy AI would just like pile on them and just like annihilate them before you could even like try to revive them.
The combat is merciless. Just fucking merciless. Like, it is. I like it. It's smart, but yeah, it needs balance. Like, I don't know if it's like maybe make the enemies scale with me. I'm not sure what the fix is here, because I get that, you know, like sometimes you're going to get into a thing where like those guys are higher level than you. Maybe we come back to this area. I get that that's, you know, how you gate things off, but there's come a point with the game, and I've played it a good amount of time. Like, I've made like 4 characters and like played it a good amount of hours every time. Like, I know kind of what I'm doing. I know where I need to go and who I need to talk to and all this other stuff, but I'm getting to a point where I'm like, I don't know how to progress from here because I'm not leveled up enough to beat this encounter, and this is clearly what I have to do to move forward. And it's just, I don't know, it gets messy. Like, it's one of the, like, at some point I got really kind of frustrated with it, and I was like, I'm gonna wait for the finished product. This has a ton of potential right now. I really like what they're doing, but I'm gonna wait. And it's good, but wait for it to work itself out. There's a lot of things they need to work the kinks out on this thing, but has so much potential. Like, the writing and stuff is so cool. Like, just like a thing I missed when I first started playing it was like basic D&D stuff was like, oh, camp. If you go to camp and like rest, you get your hit points back and your spells replenish. I was like missing that aspect completely for a few hours of the game. And then I did it, and then it was like all of a sudden like storyline stuff would start happening. Like in the camp, like all of a sudden you'd rest, and then like this like devil man fucking visits you and like tells you all this insane shit, and you're like, okay, this is some real shit right now. This is cool. Like, I love,
like Dragon Age Origins.
Yeah, I really like what they're doing with it. But like, I'm gonna wait a little bit. I'm gonna let them work the kinks out of it, and I trust them enough because they made some really good games in the past. So I'm excited to see.
And their studio is really cool, and they're real passionate, and they're having a lot of fun over there.
Their bug reports and their update patch notes and stuff are fucking great to read. They are just hysterical the entire time. They're like making fun of people. They're like, guys, we gave you all this cool creative character stuff, and this is the guy that you made, and it's just the most basic white guy you've ever seen in your life. And you're like, this is the most common character that you've made. We're kind of ashamed of you all. And I was just laughing my ass off. But they seem great, and like the game seems really good. I can't wait to like go back to this when it's an actual finished and like, polished thing. And then other than that, because the internet wouldn't shut up about it, I decided to try Hades.
I really want to play that, but again, waiting for console. I don't want to play it on the Switch because
I've been playing it on PC, and so I like it a lot, and I'm really surprised that I like it. Because
it's a hard game.
I'm dog shit at it too. Like, I am bad at this game. Now, I kind of know why I'm bad at it, and I'll get to it. But like that, I get what people see in it. I really do. I don't know if I'm as high as other people are. I know people are just like over the moon for the game, and I understand why. Like, there's a lot of impressive elements. Like, when you tell me like, hey Justin, you're gonna die over and over in this game, I'd be like, fuck you, I'm not gonna play that game. That sounds miserable. But like, you start it up and you go through and you die, and then like storyline stuff happens, and you're like, oh, I guess they expected me to do that. Cool. It's like a boss fight that you were expected to lose. And then, you go through and you're like, okay, this is how I go back into this thing. Okay, all right, do that. And like, you die again or whatever. Maybe you get a little bit further and so on and so forth. And you come back and it's a roguelite, not a roguelike. That's a, important thing, because you're always like getting like currency to get like a new weapon or a new thing so that your next run feels completely different than the last one. It's constantly like changing itself. The thing I'm most impressed about in that game is how many times I've done it by now, which I don't have a number. I haven't been paying much attention. It's not a bingeable game to me. I play it for like a couple hours at a time, but I keep dying, and every time I come back, there's more dialogue. It never runs out of shit to tell me. Like, it's just like, this character's got a brand new thing to say. He does too. They do too. Overhear this conversation. Dude, and I'm like, this is fucking cool. Like, in every, like, you get to the first boss who's like one of the Furies or whatever. And every time you encounter them, they have a little brief conversation, and it's always different. And you're just like, and she's like, I killed you last time. And you're like, you won't get me this, whatever. The dialogue it's really cool and neat and just super stylish. The art's really good. The music's great in it. Supergiant games make really fucking good music. I also tried Transistor, which I didn't really like that game, but music is fucking amazing in Transistor. But yeah, it's good. The problem I'm having, and why I think I suck shit at it, is I decided to give the game a try the day that I got 6 stitches taken out of my eye. So I can't see certain things in it. I'm having a real tough time when I can't get out of the second area because the color palette is so, there's something about it. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but like, I can't see certain shadows where I need to see shadows on the ground. And I'm just like getting demolished by just shit cause there's a lot coming at you sometimes. And I'm just like, I can't make that out from the ground right now. I'm going to come back to this in like a week or so when my eye doesn't feel all blurry and shit. But it's been fun, like surprisingly so. And like, it's one of those, like I said, it's not really a bingeable game for me. And I'm not sure I'll ever get through an entire run, but it's nice. Like I get what people see in it. Yeah. That's
I'm looking forward to checking it out one day. Like, I'm really hoping that, we get a big boy console version of it soon. Yeah,
it's, I watched that game before I played it, because I watched it and went, the dying over and over thing, probably not my thing. But I watched it, I was like, yeah, it looks fine. But the camera angle is a little weird, but that's, it's the, patented Supergiant camera angle, that isometric view. That's just what they do. But playing it feels good. It just feels good. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just like, you start playing it and you're like, oh, okay, all right, I get it. And just like I said, every run just feels different. There's times where you like walk into a room and like get a new boon or whatever, where a god like blesses one of your attacks or whatever, and you're just like, oh shit, this is completely fucking broken, and it's cool. And like, the game will usually like put you back in your place at some point, but it has those moments where you're just like, oh, I might be able to do it this time. It's cool. It's a good game. I enjoy it. Like I said, I'll probably play a little bit more of it here and there. I'm not sure if I'm going to finish it because I am absolute dog shit at it. I've gotten to the second boss once, and they beat me, and I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to get back to. I can't get back to that point now. I'm just like, I will say, like, my biggest fear with a game like that is like how long it's going to take to, like, if I get to the end right and then die, how long it's going to take to get back there. But like,
right,
the areas are pretty short. Like, it has a good pacing to it, to where you're just like, okay, I have to fight this boss again, but like, I get some witty dialogue in between there, and like, that boss is pretty easy now because I know them by heart, and they do a little nice fun switch up at some point, which was pretty neat. But yeah, it's a good game. It really is. And
are those who made Bastion?
Yes. Yeah, they made Bastion, Transistor, and Pyre. Yep. Which is kind of the weird one. That's like the weird game out of the group, which I respect. But yeah, man. Transistor. God, I can't get over how good the fucking music is in Transistor. I fucking love that soundtrack. More about that at the end of the year. But anyway, what you been up to, Julian? I'm excited.
I've just got one thing, and no, it's not what you think. Because I'm gonna save that.
Okay.
Because we're going a little long, and this isn't gonna take very long. Because I don't like talking about the same game over and over, but I have to talk about this. So, got to the end of Stormblood on Final Fantasy XIV. Okay, the end of the second expansion. And I am just so blown away by the storytelling in this online role-playing game. Like, it has no right being this good. Okay, because like the whole thing in Stormblood is you're trying to liberate Alamigo, which is like a kingdom in the Far East. The thing about Alamigo is that they've been putting the seeds for this story in since the very beginning of Final Fantasy XIV. Like the whole situation with the refugees from Alamigo is a big part of one of the nation states in the very beginning of the game. There's a place called Little Alamigo that is, where a lot of the refugees live, and it's a hovel. Like it is not a nice place to live. And then as you get like towards the end of A Realm Reborn, you meet a character who is a ninja, and you find out, oh, she's actually from Doma, which is one of the kingdoms in the Stormblood expansion. But keep in mind, this is years before any of this,
of course.
Right? And with like most RPGs, and even with like MMOs, but especially like single player RPGs, you get to like a kingdom and you solve the thing with the kingdom, or you have like the side quests or whatever, and you move on, right? And then, you might see a character or two again, but for the most part, like it's kind of insular, and then, really what you're taking from there is maybe a party member that you gained, and, they have their story there, but then you move on, right? You go beat the big bad eventually, and it doesn't really have much to do with the little stuff. That ain't Final Fantasy XIV. The ending of Stormblood, you see, like, it brings in characters from everything, like all of the leaders of all the nation states that you've helped, like a lot of the incidental characters, like it's all like come to this to like finally liberate this kingdom. And Rob, I don't know why I thought of you, like when I was gonna like tell this, but like the final cutscene of Stormblood for the main story quest is Les Mis. It is just all of them singing this song of revolution, and it's like all of the characters that you've encountered, and they're just like coming up like on the battlements, and they're singing, and then they're just like stand on, overlooking everything, and like the song swells, and I was like, this is fucking amazing! Holy shit,
dude! Yeah, that sounds great. Even I'm into that.
Is that on the Xbox or no?
No, it's only on PC and PlayStation. I'm really hoping that at least for like next gen that they bring it over to Xbox. I know the problem for this generation was that Microsoft wasn't playing nice with certain companies with like their online stuff, but like Microsoft has done such a 180 from the beginning of the generation to now, as far as like, no, we just want everything, and we, you can play with us and you can play with them and blah blah blah. It's cool, man. So I'm hoping that like, for the series systems that they're like, oh no, we're bringing Final Fantasy 14 over here as well, because it needs to be played by as many people as can, get to it. It's really something special.
I have a PS4. It's not plugged in, and it's like sitting in my closet, but I could just get it for that, right?
Yeah, and actually, it's free to play now all the way through Heaven's Ward, so you can play through 50% of the game for free now.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I want to see some Les Mis in a video game.
Yeah, that sounds
I was shocked, it was like, and I was playing with my friend. She's like, "Oh, I hate this song," and I was like, "No, but it's Les Mis. Like, this is amazing. Like, it's not obviously it's not as good a song, but I was just like,
Still.
Just the whole feeling of it and the theme, and it was like
The power.
just the feeling of like this culmination of like, I don't know how many hundreds of hours I've played this at this point, but I was like, that was just amazing. That it just like, stuff that we were like just hinted at like at the very beginning of the game, it's finally bearing fruit. Like 3 full sections of the game later, like just
Awesome.
Chef's kiss.
nice.
The last time I heard like singing, a musical singing thing in a video game was in Inquisition. It was in Dragon Age Inquisition when they're going to the castle and they're singing in the snow as they're trying to get there, and it's awful. Do you?
I don't think I got that far.
Holy shit! It's like when you get into, I think it's called Stormhold or something, or some stupid ass name for the castle, and you're going through there, and they're just like, "The night is dark," and it's like, "Oh God, no! Why is this? Now this is really shitty." That's the last time I heard of something like that. So that'd be cool to see that done, the right way.
Yeah. But that's all I've got for this stage select, or sorry, for this consumption junction. I've got another thing.
Yeah, hold on. Before we get off of that, I know you don't want to talk about it. Give us one sentence about Persona 5. Just one sentence, please.
I wish I wasn't recording this show so I could be playing Persona 5 right now.
All I needed to hear. Thank you very much. Now let's move on.
Am I the only person who didn't like Persona 5?
No, I can see a lot of people not liking it,
yeah.
but I can super see you not getting into it. Like
Ugh.
it's not one that I would recommend to you. Like if you hadn't played it.
I bought it and I was like super stoked because I was like, oh, everybody jerks off about how great Persona 5 is, and then I was sitting there playing it and I was like, when does this get good? I was just not feeling it. I was so excited about it too because the artwork, the music, the characters all were interesting and everything, but I was just like, this is not good. I still like the first one for the PlayStation the most. I know it's like that's the one.
You are the opposite of everyone, sir. Everyone's like, yeah, that first one doesn't hold up very well, but after 3, that's when the series gets good.
Yeah, I really love that first one. Just like every time they would use their persona, how they would go, Persona! Like, it was just so cool. I love it.
Oh, they still do that, yeah.
Do they? I don't remember.
They do.
I remember 5, other than, like, he has to go to school, and then there's a castle, and then there's, like, a cat, and there's like, a jail that they went to get. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, when characters are going to be cool in this game?
It picks up at some point, but yeah, that game is a slow burn for a little while. Like, and then like eventually it gets real good. But
well, and I was actually like into it from the jump. I was like, oh, like it's pressing a lot of Julian's buttons, like really hard. I was like, okay, yeah.
Do you remember
it does me too.
Do you remember when I texted you about the Yakuza game? I was like, Julian, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And you were like, oh, no, I should have warned you about that. I was so excited because the Yakuza games are coming to Game Pass. And I was like, here we go. I've been waiting to play these games my whole life, but I'm so excited. And then they were shit. And Julian was like, yeah, that's my fault. I'm sorry. That's awesome. God damn.
All right. Well, I think that's it for Consumption Junction, which means there's only one thing left to do, gentlemen, and that is to lower the cage and step into the ring for Video Game Cage Match.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the greatest spectacle on earth. This will be one hellacious ride tonight. This is a 15-foot high steel cage, ladies and gentlemen. Who will triumph? Who will prevail? And who will realize their dream?
And this matchup also comes to us from Rob, although I actually slightly modified it because your original idea, Rob, was pitting like one of the monsters from State of Decay 2 versus one of them from Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
But we talk about the games going against each other in the cage. So what I modified it to was State of Decay 2 versus Left 4 Dead in a battle of zombie supremacy. And Rob, we'll let you start off. Who do you have in this matchup?
This was really difficult for me to choose. I ended up siding with Left 4 Dead 2 solely because the AI director puts it head and shoulders above a lot of other things. So as much as I love State of Decay 2 and I've had an ocean of fun in State of Decay 2, the varied nature of the levels in Left 4 Dead 2 makes it the superior game. And also there's a girl who wears a Depeche Mode t-shirt, so that's awesome. And it's just, it starts off, the opening cinema to that game, God, I just called it a cinema. The opening cinema to that game is still one of the most badass opening cinemas I've ever seen in a game. And the crossover with the first Left 4 Dead that exists, I think it's called the Crossroads or something like that, or the Last Stand, something like that. That is amazing. That crossover is ridiculously good. So I have to go Left 4 Dead 2 over State of Decay 2. As much as State of Decay 2 is the zombie game I've always pretty much wanted, Left 4 Dead 2 I had infinite. I will always have more fun playing that.
Excellent. Yeah, when you said that you went through State of Decay 2 4 times, I was like, oh, well, I know how Cage Match is going to go now.
State of Decay 2 is just so much fun, and the choosing to be a trader, I think it's called, or the person who I guess it's a trader, to be the liaison for all the food and stuff like that. That's the way to go, because that's the coolest final mission I've seen in a video game in a really long time. Just all these people come to your base and they're like, hey, can you take us in? And it's like, I got 12 people, dude. Like, I can maybe take one of you. I can't take all of you, my guy. So you have to turn a bunch of people away. And whoever you turn away, they come back to get you as like a mass of a group of people. So it'll be like you're 12 people against like 9 other people. And they're drawing in the zombies and the infected other things and stuff by using like decoys and stuff. They literally open up the mission by putting a boombox on the outside walls of your area to lure in a humongous wave of zombies right from the jump. And then you're running around on the inside fighting your guys. Thankfully, all my guys are like, fuck these, I got this shit. Are you kidding me? But it's just such a cool ending to that game. But yeah, Left 4 Dead 2, man. The Witch, when you're getting cocky in Left 4 Dead 2 and you're like, this is nothing. I got double pistols. I got a cricket bat. I'm good to go. And then all of a sudden you hear the little whimper and crying of the witch and you're like, now we're fucked. It's just so good. And the tank is so good in that game. And the smoker, the thing with the tongue. Oh, goddamn. Yeah, Left 4 Dead 2, man. So good. So good.
Excellent. Well, Justin, how about you?
Well, I am not the leading authority on either of these games. I think I've touched Left 4 Dead. Is it Left 4 Dead or Left 4 Dead 2? I can't remember. Which one is it?
I thought it was Left 4 Dead. That's what I had put down.
Okay, thank God.
If it's Left 4 Dead 2, that's
okay.
That's fine.
Either or. It didn't matter because I decided to use my new rule of once a year I'm allowed to let the fates decide a matchup that I'm very unsure about. So I turned to the fates themselves and rolled the mystical ball app on my phone to see who would win this cage match. So when I asked the mystical ball, and this was earlier this morning on a smoke break, when I asked it if State of Decay 2 would win, it replied, very doubtful. When I asked if Left 4 Dead would win this cage match, it replied, signs point to yes. And as I'm a simple man who does not want to fuck with fate or any of that sort of stuff, I cannot deny that. So my vote will go towards Left 4 Dead, and that's just how it's going to be. I'm not, I'm not going to deny fate. Who am I?
Yeah,
who am I? I'm a simple man, Julian.
You don't want them to cut that string of your life,
right? Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's good. So I'm kind of in the same boat, Justin. I haven't played either of these games. Yeah. And I know a little bit about both of them, but it's funny that Rob, what you brought up, because the AI director is exactly why I think Left 4 Dead wins this, because no matter what State of Decay does, Left 4 Dead is just going to use this advanced AI director to just like make things that much shittier for State of Decay 2. And so I just don't think that State of Decay can hang in this match, because Left 4 Dead is always going to have a one-up on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was really glad that I was like, oh man, yeah, me and Rob are still twins.
There's, and also, if you want to look at, like, deepness of lore to compare those two things, the level of lore in Left 4 Dead and the Left 4 Dead series, it's an avalanche compared to State of Decay. State of Decay is just like, zombies happen, good luck. And whereas, with Left 4 Dead, you just don't know. And there's even hints that it was Black Mesa. There's hints that the zombie virus came from Aperture. Like, there's all kinds of things going on in the Left 4 Dead world, which is kind of cool. And they never tell you anything. And also, I think it's one of the first levels in the hospital in Left 4 Dead, the whole hospital sequence. It literally ends. You're waiting for a chopper to come and pick you up on the roof of a hospital. And there are so many things that could just fucking uppercut you off the roof. It's ridiculous. So the mad sprint when that chopper comes, it's like, good luck! And then you just run and try to make it to oh my god, it's just so intense. I probably played Left 4 Dead, the first one, easily over 1,000 times running through those levels with friends. And it was never boring a single time. State of Decay 2 is never boring either. However, it's a different kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's a clean sweep from the Nerds Without Pants. But as always, we are not the be-all and end-all of video game cage match, because our lovely listeners, in addition to booking the matches, are also our referees. I'm going to kick things off with Adam Bradbury over on Facebook, who says, the thing I don't like about State of Decay 2 is they added co-op, but you join someone else's game only to help them in their game and get very little to take back to your own when you're done. Left 4 Dead gets my vote for being a much better co-op game. I played it a lot with my brother. Probably one of the last games that we played mostly split screen. It had a lot of good achievements. Anybody still wishing for Left 4 Dead 3 should check out the Warhammer Vermintide games.
Excellent point. I played State of Decay 2 in co-op with some friends, and it's the connection can be a little buggy sometimes when you go above two people, and you don't really get much of a reward for helping anybody out. So that's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, over on pixelbit.com, which is a website that you can visit over on this invention called the internet, and this one's about video games. Fancy that. They say this about the cage match, and this is our buddy San Andreas. That was a really long way to say that, but I liked it. Left 4 Dead 2 is the winner by default here, as it's the only one of those two games I've actually played.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
I feel like the listeners don't play enough games. It's always a Mario game or guys, there are other things other than Nintendo. Like, it's okay to play a wide variety of things. I was playing fucking Spiritfarer. Okay? Like, it's okay. Broaden your horizons. It's okay to have those things that you love, but broaden your horizons.
Well, Superstep is next, and he has not broadened his horizons. He says, I'm pretty sure I played Left 4 Dead with a friend once, so that.
Oh my god. I guess I wonder always, what are people playing all the time? And, in my head, it's always Call of Duty. Like, that's what everybody's always playing. But I guess, like, everybody's playing Mario games still. Maybe.
Like, our audience is usually playing 150-hour-long JRPGs.
That's very true. That is super true. As soon as I said I was, like, playing Persona 5, I had so many people like, hey, man, like, that's awesome. Like, we really hope you like it. And I was like, yeah, I love it. It's great. But yeah, I think that is our audience, which I'm good with. Okay, up next we have our friend Bookie, and he has this to say about Video Game Cage Match on pixelbit.com, which is a website on the invention called the internet. He says this. He says, let me see what my computer says since it's totally fixed now. Yeah. Wow. Seemed to actually work. It says odds are 7.5 for Left 4 Dead to State of Decay's 30. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Oh, crud. That's just the install size. Well, I hate a large install size, so give it to Left 4 Dead. That's just science.
It is just science. That's true.
That's very true.
And you should listen to science. Listen to science. God damn
Why
it.
would anybody do that? That's crazy.
All right. And last but certainly not least on Pixelbit, we have our buddy Xrian, who says, I have to go State of Decay too. Left 4 Dead only has like 4 people alive, so State of Decay has more humans, so more brain power. Although brains are what makes zombies stronger, probably, so maybe Left 4 Dead. Screw this, I'm just using basic math. 4 is greater than 2, so Left 4 Dead wins.
Excellent. Excellent math. This is gearing up to be the first clean sweep we may have ever had. So far. This has all been Left 4 Dead, hasn't it?
It has, but didn't Final Fantasy VII sweep Quest 64?
No, John voted for Quest 64, remember?
Oh, that's true.
That was not a clean sweep.
It wasn't. It was just a murder.
It was a murder. It was an actual murder. But let's see what happens. I'm curious. We have more to go here.
Wait, hang on. How could you pit Quest 64 against Final Fantasy VII? That's
don't worry about it. It's fine.
I think it was someone who just wanted to vote for the underdog.
Yeah.
Jeez, I don't even like Final Fantasy VII, and yes, the answer is Final Fantasy VII.
Well, his argument was Quest 64 never needed to be was a perfect game because it never was made. They never made another Quest 64, or they never made.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. It was John.
Yeah.
You're right. I forgot about that.
I'll never forget it because it made me laugh my ass off. All right, so over on Twitter.com, which is another website that you can visit on the internet and post words to people, we have our buddy Xavier Krieger. He is at Cadisbane on the Twitter.com. And he says, I haven't played State of Decay, but nothing is going to send me running from the audience quite as fast as the witch from Left 4 Dead, so I'll assume they won from underneath my blanket at home.
The witch is terrifying. She's literally a one-hit kill. Like, she can't.
Yes.
It's really hard to light her up. She moves so fast, and yeah, that's a good take.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is Jeffka, who's on Twitter at Jestoff. And he says, State of Decay 2 is fun and all. I did enjoy it, but I played Left 4 Dead so much that I remember being actively kicked from multiplayer PvP games because I knew how exactly to deal with zombies, knew the levels like the back of my hand, and when I was the zombies, knew exactly how to separate and kill any group. Honestly, being kicked for being too good, kind of a proud achievement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
After that, we have our friend Blaine Thea. He is at Blaine Thea on Twitter.com. That's a website. I think you get it by now, but if you don't, I'll say it again next time. He says this about the cage match. He says, never played either of these games, so I vote for whichever one is losing, because who doesn't like coming from behind for the win?
Oh, Blaine, I don't think anything is going to help State of Decay come from behind here.
And it's a pity vote of all things. It's like, I feel bad for whatever's losing. This is not looking good right now.
All right, next up is John Marinkovic, who is on Twitter at John Marinkovic, and he says, I haven't played either of these games, but after checking them both out, I think I'm going to go with State of Decay 2. But I'm still a little salty about episode 185's decision, so if Blaine picked this one, I'm picking Left 4 Dead.
So he picks Left 4 Dead, and that's what happens, right?
You know, I'm starting to think, because now my co-host is a coward. And like a lot of the listeners are like, yeah, I don't play a lot of horror games. It's like maybe Halloween Havoc needs to be retired.
No, it's fine.
Maybe it needs to be sunsetted.
I enjoy it. I have good ideas. I had a good idea for a horror game. I will share it after the show.
Okay.
Because I'm dying to get it out. I don't know why. I have to see if it's a good idea, you know. But after that, we have our buddy PK Becker. He is also known as Philip. He's at PK Becker. Why did I read it like that? But this is on the twitter.com, as you, of course, know, or hopefully remember that it's a website that you can visit on the internet. And he says this about the cage match. He says, State of Decay, because it isn't a dead franchise. Left 4 Dead isn't even undead at this point, unless I am forgetting mods.
Ooh, rest in peace.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a fair point.
Yeah, because I don't think it's coming back.
Yeah, well,
unfortunately.
There were rumors.
There were rumors.
Yeah, the guys who made it went and made that terrible monster game, Evolve. They made that, which had a lot of promise, but holy shit, was it bad. And then I remember I played that on a day that I got strep throat. That's my only memory of games. I had strep throat. I played that game, and I was like, fuck this, and I went to the dump. But, yeah. There's been a lot of rumors that Left 4 Dead is going to come back. That game made an ocean of money. It would be really stupid for them not to bring it back at some point. I'm willing to bet Left 4 Dead has made more money than State of Decay 2 certainly had. State of Decay.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's
just that Valve makes oceans of money without having to develop anything.
Yeah, Valve doesn't have to do shit anymore. They have Steam, so yeah.
Yeah.
True.
They have Steam and Dota.
Yeah.
So.
Oh god. Yeah. Ugh.
They made Dota.
Yes.
Dota 2.
Dota 2,
that's
yep.
them.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe. All right. Last up on Twitter, we have our buddy Matt Jorgensen, who's on Twitter at MetalMattReturns. And he says, I kind of don't care who wins because both games are a win for zombie media fans like me. I guess I'm going to go with Left 4 Dead because I actually played that one.
I implore you guys. I know, and I'm not talking to you two. I'm talking to the listeners and stuff. For the love of God, there's only so many JRPGs. There's so many, and they really are. When you break it down, they are all kind of the same in terms of there's some magic, and there's like a little girl who's cute and powerful, and there's a guy who probably doesn't talk, and he has like a big sword on his back, and like there's a lot of things, right? Like there's a lot of games out there. I implore you to explore the world of gaming a little better than Mario and RPGs. You know, like Justin rattles off these obscure games that I have discovered because of him. Julian makes excellent recommendations of games outside of the world of JRPGs. For the love of God, broaden your horizon. By not having broad horizons, that's why we're in the trouble that we are in. We are a global world, and we must globalize our gaming and tastes as well. So please try new things.
The more you know.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right. Well, that was a old fashioned mud stomping.
Yeah.
That was not even close. Like Left 4 Dead's AI director just fucking swarmed State of Decay.
Yeah.
State of Decay didn't even know what was going on. It was like I don't even know what State of Decay, like, do you build stuff? Like, was State of Decay trying to like build a little fort, and then like Left 4 Dead was like, nah, son.
Yeah,
that sounds right. That sounds right.
And the thing, like, they're very similar to each other in a lot of ways with like their mutated things. I'm surprised Left 4 Dead won, to be honest. I thought people would side with the more recent game.
Well, the only thing is that State of Decay is an Xbox game, and Xbox did not do well this generation,
Yeah.
so I bet a lot of people just didn't even get a chance to try it. Where Left 4 Dead was like ubiquitous.
And we were talking earlier about zombie fatigue of that entire genre, and I think it came out at a time where people are just like, I'm a little tired of that. Like, so it's,
It is good.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that. It's quite good. And surprised.
I might give it a try someday because it's on Game Pass, so
The DLC that's included is very good as well. It's like Heartland Country, something like that. It's very good.
Cool.
And just there's like in Left 4 Dead there's the tank. In State of Decay 2 there's the Juggernaut, and they're basically the same thing. Only the Juggernaut's a big fat guy, whereas the tank is like this giant muscle monster. And it's like so many of their infected are very similar to each other, but it's like they're both fun in different ways, So I'm glad Left 4 Dead won because that was the one that I was going with. But yeah.
Well, as always, there is another match on the horizon, and it's my turn to pick a booking, and this one comes to us from our buddy Jeffka. And, I thought we'd keep up with the spoopy theme since we're still going to be recording in October for the next episode. So next time, stepping into the steel cage, we have Luigi's Mansion taking on Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem.
Jesus Christ. No. Oh.
Well, to be fair, Jeffka, cut his teeth on the GameCube, and so it comes up a lot from him.
He's a younger man.
Oh,
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a baby fresh eyes.
Yes.
And again, for stage select, I just want to know from the listeners what you would like to see from a new Mass Effect while me and Justin try to build one from scratch. And again, in the cage match, we've got Luigi's Mansion taking on Eternal Darkness. So we will want those submissions by 8:30 Central Time on October the 30th. Once again, you can comment in the show thread for episode 187 at pixelbit.com. You can also DM us on Twitter at NWPcast or send us a message on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdswithoutpantspodcast. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Rob, Her Infernal Name and Other Nightmares available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, right? And other places, perhaps?
They like to say wherever fine books are sold.
Excellent.
That's what they say.
And it's a fine book, so it deserves it. Is there anything else you'd like to promote, Rob, as far as people finding you or stuff that you've got working or in the works coming out soon?
Just be on the lookout for some other anthologies that I'm in. Like I said, I'm in an anthology, Hookman and Friends. I'm in an anthology called Coffin Blossoms, which has a very middle grade, almost YA, very child-friendly, spooky story in there. I'm in an anthology called The Half You See, which is coming out from Dark Ink Publishing. A story in there very much inspired by a certain video game franchise that I love. And I have another story coming out in Hollywood Holocaust, which I talked about before, and I have one coming out. The working title of this one, I haven't talked about this anywhere. The working title of this anthology that I'm in is called Unburied, and it's about that has the story that I mentioned earlier, that with the characters, a young boy struggling with his sexuality. So that one's coming out, I think, March or April. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. And yeah, no, that's it. And just, follow me on the Instagram if that's okay, because I'm big on Instagram, at Robert Otone, RobertOttone.
Excellent. And you can also find us on Twitter. Justin?
I'm at Tyrone_Swift, or you can follow my other crappy podcast that talks about dumb bullshit at Clickbait Update.
Hey, listen, man, I really enjoyed the Goofus and Gallant talk.
God damn it. I hate Mitsubishi for making that the It's Gallant. It's Gallant.
It is Gallant.
It's a Gallant night. It's not Gallant.
I always heard Gallant because, because of Monty Python.
Okay, all right, fine. I'll accept that too, but drives me insane. Sorry. That episode is just me every 2 seconds when my sister pronounces the name Gallant, just going, God damn it, and then I start doing it too.
It was fantastic. You can find me on Twitter at Julian_Titus. And once again, you can find the show at NWPcast. Our theme music, relax and interstitial music to the Max and Moody Grooves, come to us from Megan McDuffie. You can find her anywhere on social media. Just look up Megan McDuffie. If you like the show, consider rating and reviewing it wherever you rate and review podcasts, and consider sharing it with a friend. And that is going to do it for this episode. Rob, thank you so much for being on. It's always a blast to have you. You're always welcome. But, now, again, you're the Rock, so we expect you around the time that your next book is coming out, and then we'll probably that last time, and then you'll get the movie deal for the YA book, and then it'll be deuces. Yeah. But that's fine. That's fine. I've already made peace with it. It's fine.
You could be my date to the premiere.
Oh, I'll hold you to that. All right.
Thank you.
We're gonna go.
It really means a lot. Thank you.
Definitely, man. Yeah, always good talking to you. We need to actually make a point to try to talk, more often. We've been trying to, and then just,
life gets
2020 sucks.
Yeah, that's fine. We had it going for when I was like over being sick. You and I had that beautiful conversation. I enjoyed that. That was nice. We should do that at least once a month.
Definitely. Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and take off. So for myself, Justin, and another special thanks to Rob. Thanks for listening. Keep it pantsless, internet, and wash your goddamn hands. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.